days. They got 4 in between against Cremonese. They are free-flowing and fantastic to watch at the moment. Demoralising for Ajax, but you really have to take your hat off to the Luciano Spalletti's side, who are flying in the Champions League. Ajax do have time on their side, still a long way to go. They can turn this around. We know they have the quality, but against this Napoli team, it is going to be very difficult, and you can see the confidence with Ajax, particularly defensively, as the ball's given away there cheaply by Jorge Sanchez. It's so brittle. Every time Napoli come forward, you can almost feel the fear within that Ajax back line.
Yeah, they just immediately drop back deep and try and get players behind the ball, just more of hope than expectation that they'll be able to deal with it. I don't think they're being given much help by the Ajax midfield at the moment. I think it's Alvarez who's getting deepest to help with the defence, but Klaassen and Taylor aren't getting anywhere near closer to their back line whenever they are on their defensive works. And the back four are being punished for it because Napoli, they're not afraid to get midfielders forward. The likes of Zielinski and Zambo Anguissa in particular will come forward to assist the other three to help out. And when basically every man is having to take up their own forward to deal with, it means gaps are going to be created, being drawn from left and right, and they just can't cope with them.
Yeah, Napoli looking to come forward again. That's a loose ball low by Lozano. He's fortunate it falls to Kim. Now Anguissa into Jesus, and Napoli can settle into a bit of possession. 5 yards or so inside their own half. Anguissa once more out to Di Lorenzo. Back into the former Fulham midfielder, who's really been earning rave reviews during his time in Naples. Jesus once more. Ajax don't really know whether to press how they normally would or sit in. They're not really doing either at the moment. Bassi attempting to challenge Lozano and does get the decision of at least a throw-in, maybe even a free kick down on the near touch line. But what do you do? Alfred Truder, the Ajax boss, what do you do in this situation? Because they need the points. We've mentioned that. They need to go for it and try and get back into the game. But they could be so easily picked off on the counter-attack. And we joked at the start of proceedings that it can't be another 6-1, really. We expect it to be a much closer game. But the way it started, it could be another cricket score for Napoli.
Yeah, Alfred Schroeder's really just got to think about where his priorities lie, because they need to get points somewhere on the board, and to do that they'd have to press forward, and in doing that there'll be gaps opened up behind them, and it could be another 6-1 again. So it's whether or not they want to try and think that, okay, we've got nothing else to lose, and press forward to try and get something on the board and risk another humbling which might affect the confidence, or try and shut up shop and limit this to a more respectable defeat and try and do what needs to be done with the likes of Rangers and Liverpool, and by that point it might already be technically over for them anyway. I think if I was in his position, I'd be under the thought, well, may as well go for it, because a loss is a loss. Goal difference after losing 6-1 already, it's probably not going to get that much worse. I think they're already going to lose on goal difference. They need to do something to get points on the board, so I'll just throw the kitchen sink already.
Yeah, and they are trying to get forward. Now good numbers in this attack. Taylor down the left-hand side, supported by Bassi. Now into Bergwijn, who has looked lively. Tries to play a nice little interchange with Jurien Timber, who joined the attack there. Napoli stood firm. Ajax will look to come again. Taylor rides the challenge of Lozano not once but twice into the penalty area. Tries to find Kudus, who can't quite lay it back off towards Kenneth Taylor. Timber has it once more though, although play will be stopped. There's an offside in and amongst that, so a free kick to Napoli inside their own penalty area. But I think that kind of emphasised the philosophy that Ajax are going for in this game. So many bodies forward, half a dozen in and around the Napoli penalty area, including one of their centre-backs at one point.
Yes, that is true, but Napoli got a lot of players back to really shut up all reliable passing channels, and really didn't give them a great deal. It was good play by Taylor to create any form of space, but Kudus is not having a good game so far. He's been caught offside far too many times, and he's really making things far more difficult for his team than it needs to be.
Yeah, he's a little caught on his heels at the moment, static and not providing the options that perhaps he should be for those Ajax midfielders. The Dutch side do have a corner though, over on the right-hand side. A chance, a first opportunity really from a set piece for either team in the game. It's been pretty free flowing. The ball hasn't been out of play too often so far as Berghaus whips it towards the far post. Mere looked like he had all the time in the world to catch that, but he opted to punch, and then that put Lozano under pressure, and he's been forced to concede a corner now on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah, it's a real gift here from Napoli, and this is a perfect time for Ajax to really punish them when they're about 6s at 7s. I don't know why Alex Mere isn't trying to claim that. Like you mentioned, it looked like he had all the time in the world to do that. Corner kick's taken short. Let's see what they can do from it.
Yeah, it's come to Kenny Taylor. We'll revert it back out to the left-hand side, and an opportunity for Ajax. Berghaus, though, chooses to go back to Daley Blind, who changes the angle, lifts it towards the far post, and it wasn't the worst ball. Edson Alvarez, though, just mistimed his jump. He got caught underneath that there. It flicks off the top of his head and goes out of play for a goal kick. Yeah,
real waste that from Ajax. They tried to do a bit of a training ground move, but the Napoli defence held firm, didn't offer any clear chance for the cross, and Blind's ball in had just too much height on it, not enough fizz, and it was very easily dealt with by Napoli defence.
Yeah, poor from Ajax, a rare period of pressure on the Napoli final third, although Napoli have given the ball away there. It's really cheap from Kim, picked up by Kudus, who tees up Berghaus. We know he's got a wand of a left foot. We've already seen it in action in this game. This effort, though, blocked at source. Juan Jesus getting in the way, diverts it behind for a corner. We have reached the midway point in this first half. Napoli in complete control in terms of the scoreline, leading by 2-0. Ajax, though, trying to get back into the game. I'll hand you over to Will to take you through to the half-time break.
Thank you very much, Tom. So we've got this corner kick to be taken short by Bergwijn, finding Berghaus, decent ball in, header away by Kim Min-jae, falls to Taylor. He'll move it out towards the former Tottenham man in Steven Bergwijn. Now Berghaus once more. Again shepherded out this time by Zambo Anguissa. Gives an opportunity for the Napoli midfield just to slowly press their way further up the field, but the attack's still on for Ajax. Ball down the line by Berghaus, trying to find Bassi, who managed to get around Di Lorenzo, but the back heel was scuffed and goes out for a goal kick for the home side. But they are growing into this game more and more, Ajax. They're forcing Napoli further back, and they're just beginning to ask more questions of this Napoli defence.
Yeah, and perhaps Napoli are subconsciously sitting back because they've got that 2-goal lead. They're aware avoid defeating this game, and they secure qualification with 2 games to spare. So maybe they've just taken their foot off the gas slightly. You see it there, really poor miscontrol under no pressure from Matias Oliveira, and it looks like the home side standards have slipped, dropped. It's allowing Ajax to get a foothold in the game, and it will be interesting if the Dutch team can pull one back.
Yeah, Luciano Spalletti surely cannot be happy with what he's seeing from his side. That's a wonderful roulette by Julian Timber, who now moves it towards the left-hand side in Bassi, who's got a bit of space to move into, goes short towards Bergwijn. Klaassen makes the run, really well intercepted by Kim Min-jae. Turned away by Lobotka. He'll try and break down this right-hand side, held up by Alvarez and by Bassi. Goes down looking for a free kick if he's going to get that. That's really, really soft. And I think he is actually going to win that free kick. And if so, I think that's maybe a little bit fortunate there by Lobotka.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was any contact from Calvin Bassi. He was just running up a cul-de-sac, really. And went down, chanced his arm, and the referee gave the free kick. And there wasn't any complaints from Bassi, surprisingly. But it didn't look like a foul to me.
Di Lorenzo looks for some support in blue. Hasn't got much, so looks to try and play a crossfield pass towards Oliveira, who takes it down well. Will have support to his left in Kvaratskhelia, utilises him as well. The Georgian will go back towards Oliveira, plays a little 1-2, trying to find Zielinski. He's been tackled. Now Alvarez will try and break forward. He'll hold off Oliveira. Oliveira does well to tackle back and get away from Klaassen. Lobotka to Anguissa. Ajax trying to press from the front. Can't quite get on the end of it as Lozano sets off Di Lorenzo, the captain. Few shimmies to get away from Bergwijn before finding Zambo Anguissa. Lozano away from Bassi. Good dribbling there by the Mexican. It's a dangerous ball in. Turned away by Alvarez. Now with Zambo Anguissa. Just about lost out to Klaassen. Then gave away the foul on the Dutchman. It will be a free kick to Ajax. And I think the main reason why Klaassen may have won that is the just difference in size. He got completely turned by Zambo Anguissa. I didn't think there was a great deal in it. Yes, there's a slight push, but I think a taller, more physical player wouldn't have gone down there.
Yeah, it was slightly weird. He just put his right arm across Anguissa. The way Klaassen went down, it made it look like a kind of wrestling move from Anguissa, but I, like you, didn't think there was too much contact there, really, but referee, easy decision there is probably to give the free kick, and again, there weren't too many complaints from Anguissa.
Here's Timber playing a 1-2 with Berghaus, now going inwards towards Edson Alvarez. Now in possession is Daley Blind, who tries to play a cutting pass towards Bassi. He's tackled by Di Lorenzo, falls to Taylor. The passing comes off the back of the former Rangers defender Bassi. And Gisa to Lobotka. Few quick passes. Lobotka's then caught by Kenny Taylor, and it looks like that's actually going to be the first yellow card of the game as well. It's gone to the Ajax number 8. He doesn't show too many signs that he is upset with that decision. I think he was just a tad late to the party. And look at the replay there. He just stands completely on the top of the foot of Lobotka, and that will be a really sore one.
Yeah, it's good refereeing from Felix Dwyer. Initially, I thought it was a bit of a nothing challenge and a harsh yellow card, but he is late, and yeah, it's a naughty one really on the top of the player, and could have caused an injury. So Taylor, first player in the book, and in that central midfield three. For Ajax, with those Napoli players bursting forward at pace like we've seen in this game so far, particularly on the counter-attack. He's got to be very, very careful, Taylor.
Yes, he does, as Kudos does well to turn away from Kim Min-jae. Now with Bergwijn to drive at the Napoli defence. Taylor finding Klaassen. This is good play by Ajax. Taylor getting into the area, then loses out. It's fallen back to him, and his effort with a little bit sliced to it towards the near right-hand post goes into the side netting. Very fortunate how it came back to him. A little bit of miscommunication between Di Lorenzo and Kim Min-jae meant that it fell back to the number 8, and I think he was a short-standing one that he had that opportunity and rushed his effort and fired it wide.
Yeah, sheer perseverance there from Taylor to force the error and capitalise. It's just a bit of a swing, isn't it, with his left foot in the end. A surprise that he got the opportunity and he slices it into the side netting. Perhaps if he could have shown a little bit more composure, he would have had a better strike towards goal, or maybe would have been able to get his head up. There were at least one player getting in at the far post in goal for Ajax, but another half opportunity that the visitors haven't been able to capitalise on.
Calvin Bassi has been adjudged to have fouled Hervin Lozano. He did land rather awkwardly on the calf of the Mexican, so I can't understand why he's in a little bit of bother as we're seeing a replay of his first goal. It was a wonderful finish with a looping header pass, Remco Pasveer. And then the second, of course, coming from Raspadori, who, as you mentioned, rasped it into the top right-hand corner. I mean, both goals, you've got to say, were fantastically worked, and they're brilliant finishes from both the forwards.
Absolutely. Just looking at the replay from behind the goal of the Lozano header, he put it exactly where you'd place it, didn't he, in that position. Lovely looping flight on that ball. But the four most attacking players in this Napoli lineup, all involved in the two goals, assists for Zielinski and Kvaratskhelia, goals of course for Lozano and Raspadori. You can't ask two more than that really if you're attacking players inside the opening half an hour, and Napoli will just be hoping that Hervin Lozano is okay. As you say, there was no intent from Bassi. He just landed as they were falling to the ground on the top of Hervin Lozano. It would be a painful one for the Mexican, but hopefully it's just an impact injury and he's okay to continue.
Yeah, as we see a replay of it, it's just a rather grazing foot down the side of the calf / back of the shin of Hervin Lozano, who should hopefully be okay to continue. It will be sore though for a few minutes at the very least as we pass the half an hour point of this game. Remains Napoli 2, Ajax 0. Listen to unofficial off-tube studio commentary as Kvaratskhelia just miscontrols the pass and it goes out for a throw-in for Ajax midway inside their own half. Scoreline is also still goalless in the game between Atletico Madrid and Club Brugge in the other early kickoff in the Champions League. So looking increasingly likely that Club Brugge will defy expectations and proceed out of their group. And not only that, but they're looking likely to actually proceed top of their group as well as things stand. They'll also have to get a few more points in their remaining fixtures as well, as Di Lorenzo tries to hammer an early cross. Bit of a slice from the captain, trying to find Raspadori, but didn't quite have the ability to get the desired cross in front of Raspadori there. Yeah,
it's a little bit too ambitious there from Di Lorenzo, but that all stemmed from a free kick that Napoli had because yet again Mohamed Kudus was caught offside from a long ball forward, not getting back into a position where he can get on the ball and influence things. It's poor from him. He needs to show a lot more. He's a fantastic talent and a great finisher, as we've seen in the Champions League already this season, but he needs to be cuter in those situations.
Yes, he does, as Berghuis picks up possession and plays a crossfield pass intending for Bergwijn. He'll put the pressure on Di Lorenzo, who utilises his strength well. Good defending by the Napoli captain to shepherd that ball out of play for what will be yet another goal kick for Napoli. Tells them to continue to run down this clock. They're in no real desire to increase their intensity, just want to hold on to their lead. But a goal for Ajax could completely change that.
Yeah, and the game remains really fascinatingly poised because of that. If there is a Napoli third goal, the Ajax heads will drop, and you suspect that would be game, set and match in a lot of ways. But Ajax have grown into this game. They're creating opportunities. They've probably been the more dangerous side since going 2-0 down, and would set it up for a really, really good game. And then second half, certainly, if Ajax can get one back before the break.
Here in possession is Taylor. Moving it towards the left-hand side in Daley Blind. Blind now finding Timber. Back to Taylor, who tries to skip away from Lozano. Finding Bergwijn. He's tackled now with Lobotka, who was not really being put under any pressure by any player in Ajax. I'm not really entirely sure what colour it is they're playing in, if I'm being honest. I think it's a tan colour. But they're not getting anywhere near the Napoli attack. As Kvaratskhelia again, wonderful dribbling, put it through the legs of Sanchez, and he's been hauled down by Alvarez. They're not even going to allow the advantage either. It's going to be brought back for the foul, and it is going to be a yellow card, and a deserved yellow card as well there for Sanchez.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was just completely done by, yet again, brilliant skill from Kvaratskhelia. He goes 5-10 minutes without being involved in the game, doesn't he? And then he just pops up with absolute brilliance. And yeah, they're both there, Edson Alvarez and Jorge Sanchez. They both put their arm on Kvaratskhelia. I think it is Sanchez. Yeah, confirmation coming on the screen that he was the one penalised. But if one of the Mexican players for Ajax wasn't stopping at Kvaratskhelia, then the other one certainly would have.
Yeah, I think maybe Edson Alvarez will be a little bit frustrated with his Mexican teammate there. And he gave away the foul because it did look like Alvarez was likely to get the interception in. As Zambo Anguissa comes forward, has support to his left in Kvaratskhelia. Won't utilise him, continues to maraud forward. He's eventually tackled by Alvarez, and it'll go out for a throw-in for Napoli in line with the penalty area. And looking dangerous on that left-hand wing. But once again, Alvarez is probably one of the better players for Ajax in this first half, managing to get a most important foot in. So Mateus Oliveira with a throw, finding Zielinski. Back towards Oliveira now with Kvaratskhelia. Tries to float the ball into the area, well watched by Remco Pasveer. And now there's a counter-attack opportunity here for Ajax with Calvin Bassey. Breaking down the left, held up by Lobotka. Wonderful defending by Napoli to get players back and immediately surround Bassey, who's being watched by three. Plays it off of Lobotka, wins a throw-in, but brilliant tracking back by Napoli.
Brilliant tracking back, but also brilliant from Bassey to get himself a throw-in after all that, because he had three Napoli defenders in front of him, no real support, and the absolute best he could hope for was to win a throw-in, but he also managed to carry it probably 25-30 yards further than he necessarily should have been able to.
So, Kenneth Taylor has just overrun the pass intended for him, so it will be a throw-in for Napoli. I think he realised that he was so close to the byline, the Ajax number 8. Throw in for the hosts with Giovanni Di Lorenzo. Finding Zielinski. The crossfield pass just eludes Berghaus. And now Oliveira will break forward, finding Kvaratskhelia. Not the greatest of passes to the Georgian, but he will pick things up again and try and take on Sanchez on the left-hand side. Quick feet from the Georgian, twisting, turning, and he gets a decent delivery in as well, intending for Lozano, really well defended by Bassey, and then it's hammered away from danger by Alvarez. Wasn't too far away from getting his head onto that, the Mexican, and I think if he gets his head onto it, I'm not sure if I back Pasveer to make the save.
No, brilliant again though from Kvaratskhelia. As I mentioned earlier, that close ball control, there's no one really better in world football at the moment than him. From the start of this season, he's just been flying, and it's a really, really tough evening for Jorge Sanchez in particular, the right back over there. Again, an Ajax player now on a card that is walking a tightrope. He can't afford any more fouls like the one he picked up where he produced on Kvaratskhelia a few minutes ago to receive the yellow card. And most importantly, the Georgian will know that, so he's going to run at Sanchez every opportunity. That might be something that Ajax have to look at.
Yes, very much so, as Timber finds Taylor. Kudos has been fouled by Juan Jesus. He was, and then it's going to be brought back, I think, for a foul or maybe even a handball in the build-up. By the way, Ajax are still protesting as to why they weren't allowed to continue. The referee's not having any of that from David Klaassen or Daley Blind. Seeing a replay here, there's definitely a foul. And now it's whether or not there's anything further afterwards. Because there's definitely no doubt it's a free kick from Juan Jesus. I don't know why he's pulled that back.
No, and he had one, actually, the foul referred to when Sanchez was booked. Napoli were away as well, and he could have played an advantage to the referee. He chose not to on that occasion, and maybe he just needs to hold fire on his whistle for a second or two longer, just to give the game a chance to breathe.
Here's Steven Bergwijn. Looking for support, pokes it inward towards Taylor, back towards Bergwijn. Klaassen, this is wonderful football from Ajax. Taylor trying to find Bergwijn, but well intercepted by who else but Kvaratskhelia. And he tries to play the ball over the top for Lozano. Nice idea from the Georgian, just didn't have the execution required there. Because if that's the right ball with Lozano's pace, there's not too many players on the field that would catch him.
Yeah, and with his ability, Kvaratskhelia, you expected him just to knock it in behind and give Lozano something to run onto. I don't think Luciano Spalletti was too happy with the pass, but Kvaratskhelia showing there that he can get back and do his defensive work as well, picked up a good position and was able to intercept the attempted pass from Kenny Taylor.
Here's Daley Blind for Ajax. The captain going towards Bassi under pressure from Lozano. Will go all the way back towards his goalkeeper in Pasveer. Then finds support in the form of Alvarez. Back with Pasveer once more. Not much ahead of him, but he does find support in the form of David Klaassen. Then spreads it back towards Daley Blind. Ajax will try and inch their way further and further up the field. Blind finding the 1-2 with Taylor. Through ball now will find Alvarez. Taylor once more on the left, trying to find Bergwijn on the slide. Couldn't find Bassi. Di Lorenzo with the interception, going back towards Alex Mere. Kudus is down off the ball here. And he's holding his face, so there might have been a collision with a Napoli defender. I think Ajax players are trying to make that point. They're wanting Napoli to put the ball out. They didn't do that. They just waited for Kudus to get back onto his feet. Didn't notice exactly what happened there, though, Tom.
No, it was Juan Jesus who was the defender with him. Kudus going down off the ball, I'm presuming, claiming there was a stray arm or something like that from the Napoli defender. If there was anything untoward, VAR will certainly be having a look at it right now. But for the time being, we play on, and I'd presume, because Kudus hasn't made too much of it in the end, there was probably something of nothing.
Yes, and considering there's no other signs that the referee's looking to stop this game for any checks, granted we haven't had a stoppage since then, looks like we should be okay to still be 11v11 as Klaassen goes away from Lobotka, and Alvarez will help it on its way further towards Timber. About 5 minutes remaining of the mandatory 45 for the first half. Listen to unofficial off-tube studio commentary. Napoli 2, Ajax 0. Lozano away from Bassi. Then he's been fouled by Klaassen. Ajax will continue to attack. Kudus then has his pocket picked by Stanislav Lobotka. Di Lorenzo, options in Raspadori, who we've barely mentioned over the last 10-15 minutes or so. He's finally had a touch of the ball there, finding Lozano. He's under pressure from Daley Blind. He goes down, wins a free kick. But yeah, I think that's the first time I've had to mention Raspadori in the last quarter of an hour, just showing how on top Ajax have been.
Yeah, absolutely, and credit to Ajax as well, the way they've forced their way back into this game. They haven't panicked. They've taken their time, and they're in a decent position, even though they haven't managed to get a goal back as of yet. They're still trailing 2-0. But as you say, the Napoli, all the forward players really have been involved sparingly in this game. But when they have got on it, like Kvaratskhelia is now down the right hand side, they've looked a threat.
Kvaratskhelia now trying to get away from Bassi, does so. Really good dribbling by the Georgian. Tries to get a cross in. It loops high into the air. Will spoon away from Berghaus. Oliveira will pick it up, trying to find a bit of a gap. We'll go back towards Zielinski. Now with Lobotka once more. Anguissa to drive at this Ajax defence. Tries to find Kvaratskhelia. Comes out towards Raspadori. He will spread it towards Lozano. Still the opportunity on for Napoli. Gets it across the face and it couldn't quite be poked in. I think it was Di Lorenzo in space trying to poke it in at the near post. And now an opportunity for Bergwijn to break forward. Counter-attack. Bergwijn finds Kudos to his right. Gets away from Jesus. His shot is blocked well by the Brazilian. Then falls back to Berghuis. He gets a shot. That's blocked by Lobotka. It might be winded from that. Bergwijn will continue the attack though for Ajax. Well, they're going to have a stoppage, I think, for an offside, and it will give Lobotka an opportunity to maybe get some more air into his lungs, and was, in the end, well defended by Napoli.
Yeah, brave block from Lobotka. It's a really venomous drive from Berghuis, 25 yards out. A few Napoli players throwing themselves at it, but it was the midfielder who got in the way. But brilliant in the initial counter-attack from Steven Bergwijn. Does everything perfectly. Drives forward, waits, lays the ball into the path of Kudus, who for me, he's got two options. He either strikes that first time, or he moves it onto his right foot, taking the ball away from the defender, tries to come back on his left, closes the angle, bodies back, and that effort, that good chance for Ajax goes a-begging.
Well, the referee, I think, is going over to have a word with Steven Bergwijn. I'm not entirely sure for what. I think it's for his frustrated kicking of the ball away once the offside was given. So I think it's just a talking to and nothing else, just telling him to calm down because it's a bookable offence. But play now does resume once more with Kim Min-jae. He tries to find Raspadori. Not the greatest of passes there, though, by the South Korean. Bergwijn will find Taylor, who I think was trying to find Kudos, but it was the pass was blocked off, so it went short instead towards Alvarez, who's got support in his left towards Bergwijn. Here is the Dutchman trying to get away from Di Lorenzo, finding Alvarez once more. Back towards Bergwijn. A few players in support in the area if he can get a cross in. Keeps hold of possession though for the time being. Here's Bassi. Now we're Blind. Finding Julian Timber, who gets away from Zielinski. Then loses out. The pass by Kim Min-jae will find Lobotka. Not much ahead of him, so cuts away in order to hold on to possession. And Napoli will slow down the tempo once more. Still goalless in the other game between Atletico Madrid and Club Brugge. And it looks like there may be a penalty for the Belgian side that's currently being checked by VAR. So it could be overturned in just a few moments' time, or it might have an opportunity again for the away side. And it looks like it has been overturned. No penalty for Club Brugge. So it remains goalless but in that game. Here is Zielinski. Back towards Lobotka under pressure from Davy Klaassen. Little over a minute remaining of the mandatory 45. Do you have any idea of how many minutes of added on time we should expect?
We've had a couple of goals, haven't we? There hasn't been too many stoppages. In terms of the flow of the game, it's been really good. We don't have the statistics to hand about how much time the ball has spent in play, but compared to other games, it's been really, really intense from both teams. So, yeah, maybe a minute for the two goals. That's probably about it.
Kvaratskhelia, heavy touch, hammered away from danger by Edson Alvarez. Goes all the way back towards the Napoli goalkeeper in Mere. Here's Kim. A quick pass took to his right to find Zambo Anguissa. Back towards Jesus. Towards the left-hand side now for Oliveira. There's a bit of space for Lobotka. Utilises him, who immediately gives it back to Oliveira. Jesus once more. Ajax trying to press further and further up the field. And they've forced it all the way back towards Alex Mere. Now Jesus once more. Options limited. They might just try and see out the half, holding on to possession rather than forcing an attack. 2 minutes of added time have been shown at the end of this first half as Mere is put under pressure by Mohamed Kudus. Bassi holds up Lozano, then just about wins possession. Goes down rather clumsily, but still wins a free kick. And Bassi immediately took it short to Alvarez. Julian Timber to bring this ball further up the field. Spreads it wide for Sanchez. 1-2 with Berghuis. What do you think needs to be said at half-time by either manager, or do you think any changes will have to be made at the interval?
I think, strangely, despite being 2-0 down, I think Alfred Trudeau will be pretty satisfied with what Ajax have produced since conceding those two goals, and he'll just be calling for more of the same, just a bit more of a clinical edge in the penalty area. I think maybe they need a little bit more from Mohamed Kudus, just in terms of his all-round link-up play, and certainly making sure he stays on side. Maybe Luciano Spalletti will be the one they're thinking about changing things up a little bit. It's difficult for Napoli. I suppose the tactic is working because they do look a threat on the counter-attack, but I don't think Spalletti will be wanting his side to have to soak up as much pressure as they've had to do at times in this first half.
Yes, indeed, as Lobotka moves it towards the left in Juan Jesus once more, finding support in the form of Oliveira and Gisa. Space for Di Lorenzo if he can be found. Instead went short towards Zielinski, back towards Kim Min-jae. They try and put the press on Ajax, but still to no avail as Di Lorenzo plays it down the line, trying to find Kvaratskhelia. The sliding tackle by Sanchez is really well timed, then loses out to Raspadori. So Lozano, I should say. Lozano pokes it down the line for Di Stefano. He's tackled by Daley Blind, and it will be a throw-in for Ajax in these dying embers. Was a decent attack there for Napoli. They just ran out of room as Alvarez goes back towards Pasveer. Takes his time making his way further up the field, and he won't have time to find a teammate. The half-time whistle has been blown by Felix Vaya, and we're going into the break. Napoli 2, Ajax 0, and we'll see you in the second half.
Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left-hand side. Since then, though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left-hand side. Since then, though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left-hand side. Since then, though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left-hand side. Since then, though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left-hand side. Since then, though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left-hand side. Since then, though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left-hand side. Since then, though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis, Kudus and Taylor have all had decent chances, but it's advantage Napoli. They lead 2-0. Napoli 2, Ajax 0 at the break. Really fast start from Napoli. Inside 4 minutes they were in front. Lovely interchange between Zielinski and Lozano led to the latter heading home from close range. Giacomo Raspadori made it 2-0 to Napoli on 16 minutes after being set up by Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side. Since then though, Ajax have grown into the game, and Bergwijn, Berghuis. Right, we'll just draw that one to a quick conclusion because the second half has just got underway. We're bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary of this Champions League Group A match between Napoli and Ajax at Stadio Diego Armando Maradona. If you are just joining us, Napoli leading 2-0 heading into this second half. They made a really fast start to the game. Hirving Lozano heading them in front on 4 minutes. Giacomo Raspadori doubled Napoli's advantage on 16, but since then Ajax have grown into the game, settled down, and they had one or two opportunities themselves to get back into it. They weren't able to before the break, but Alfred Schroeder will be hoping his side can muster a goal or two in this second half. Ajax really need to avoid defeat to keep their hopes of reaching the knockout stages realistically alive. They're immediately on the attack with Steven Berghuis down the right hand side, the visitors. Napoli, of course, just need to avoid defeat to be assured of progress through to the last 16 with 2 games to spare. Berghuis will now whip a cross in for Ajax, and Jesus, well positioned at the front post, manages to nod it behind for the first corner of the second half. It's myself, Tom McGarrion and Will Maxwell talking you through this evening's coverage, and a promising start to the second period, picking up where they left off there, Ajax.
Yeah, very much so. They looked dangerous in spells in the first half, maybe not with the consistency that they would have liked, and I don't think they've really forced Murray into too many saves. Only one that sort of springs to mind was Murray diving to his left-hand side in order to claw out a deflected effort. But apart from that, he's been relatively untroubled. But they've had a lot of the possession so far, Ajax, in this game. They've forced Napoli further back on a number of occasions, and they've started this second half very, very brightly.
Yeah, the corner came to nothing, but they're on the attack once again. Ajax, Bergwijn, 25 yards from goal, trying to clip it out to the right-hand side, but the attempted pass is seen off by Oliveira, and now Kvaratskhelia again marauding forward. This time, though, he runs into traffic, and Ajax can look to break. Bergwijn, central position, thinks about the strike, goes for the strike. It's deflected by Anguissa. Really cleared effectively by Oliveira, who sends it straight into the air. And a sumptuous piece of control to bring it down by Steven Berghuis before he works the ball infield. Ajax have Napoli pinned back at the start of this second half. No changes incidentally made by either team at the break, so the 11s as you were. I'll quickly run you through the teams as Jurriën Timber's ball forward goes astray. Napoli, Mere in goal, Di Lorenzo, Jesus, Kim and Oliveira. The back four, Lobotka, Anguissa and Zielinski in the middle of the park, with Lozano and Kvaratskhelia supporting Raspadori up front. For Ajax, Pasveer in goal, Sanchez, who's on a yellow card, Timber, Blind and Bassi the back four, Klaassen, Alvarez and Taylor, who's the other player booked in the midfield, with Berghuis and Bergwijn supporting Mohamed Kudus up front. Ajax still probing then at the start of this second period. Bergwijn at the heart of it, finds Bassi left hand side, dinks the ball in, header towards goal, and it's into the back of the net. And less than 4 minutes into this second half, Davy Klaassen heads Ajax right back into this game. It's Napoli 2, Ajax 1.
Well, Napoli very much punished there for just a lack of concentration and lack of intensity to the start of their second half. Beautiful header by Davy Klaassen. It was well worked on the left-hand side. Cute ball in by Calvin Bassi. I mean, Oliveira, the defending from him is really, really poor. It doesn't get anywhere near Davy Klaassen. It's a relatively free header. And Mere does what he can to try and make it save. It's a really strong hand to it. Can only palm it into the side of the net. And it looks like it's going for a bit from bad to worse for Napoli, because it looks like they're being enforced into a chain. Sampo Anguissa is coming off, and the way that he is coming off would indicate he might have a bit of a hamstring issue. He's being replaced by Tanguy Ndombele, and I'm sure Napoli will hope that Anguissa is not going to be injured for too long.
Yeah, just clutching the back of that hamstring there. Doesn't look good for Anguissa, but Tanguy Ndombele, on loan from Tottenham, of course, enters the fray. Very experienced at Champions League level, but that is not the start to the second half that Napoli were looking for, and it appears as though they're not stopping there with the changes, because Victor Osimhen is also coming on, stripped and ready for action. He's going to replace Giacomo Raspadori, the scorer of the second goal. Wasn't really involved other than that in the first period, and unlike Anguissa, this one looks like a tactical change.
Yes, it very much is, as Osimhen makes his way back onto the field of play. Apart from his goal, maybe mention Raspadori 3-4 times at most. He's been very much an isolated figure in the front of the Napoli attack, and maybe with a more attacking player in the likes of Osimhen, who's got pace and strength to boot, and he's a real attacking talent, it might just see Napoli increase their intensity and increase the tempo of their play going forward, and make things a little bit more difficult for Ajax.
Yeah, he's a bit more of a natural out-and-out forward, isn't he, Victor Osimhen, and we'll stay at that in that central number 9 role. But Luciano Spalletti changing things up after a poor start to this second half for Napoli. They still lead, but the advantage has been reduced to just 2-1 thanks to that Davy Klaassen header. Napoli, though, looking to come forward. Zielinski twisting and turning, trying to get away from Alvarez. Finds Kvaratskhelia on the left-hand side. Oliveira involved as well. Back into Kvaratskhelia, who's pirouetting in the penalty area. Ajax don't want to dangle a foot there, otherwise they risk giving away a penalty. Zielinski will now whip across from the left-hand side in. Well dealt with by Timber. First touch for Ndombele. He nods it down to the right-hand side. It's lofted in by Lozano, and I'm not quite sure that Jorge Sanchez needed to do that, but taking no chances, the fullback heads it behind for a corner.
Yeah, and I think it's the first corner of the game for Napoli. The vast majority of the corners going in favour of the away side. It now finally gives an opportunity for the big boys, likes of Jesus and Kim Min-jae, to come forward and make their presence known. And it looks like they're going to deliver it straight into the area.
Yeah, Zielinski in swinger. right-footed in towards the penalty spot. He evades everyone and scampers out to the far side where Napoli will look to keep it alive. Oliveira it is who's kept the ball in play up against Davy Klaassen. Wants to work it onto his left foot. Dinks the ball into the area. Osherman stretching. Beaten in the air by Alvarez. But it will remain in Napoli's possession. Kvaratskhelia picking the ball up on the left-hand side. Pulls it back to Lobotka. Kvaratskhelia once more. Those two interchange. And Lobotka is crudely taken down there by Edson Alvarez, and that's going to be the third yellow card of the match, and third yellow as well for an Ajax player. Alvarez joining Sanchez and Taylor in the book, and he can't have any complaints.
No, you can't have any complaints whatsoever. It's a late tackle. It's a little bit high on Lobotka as well. Maybe just catching the lower of the left knee. It's a tackle that really did not need to be made by Alvarez. He was running into no man's land, really, and it's a gift of a free kick for Napoli to try and create something meaningful for this attack.
Yeah, decent chance from the left-hand side. Kvaratskhelia and Zielinski work it short. Kvaratskhelia now to the byline, pulls it back. It's just too far in front of Zielinski, but comes to Tanguy Ndombele, striking that difficult as it's coming across his body on his right foot, and he drags it 2 or 3 yards wide of Remco Pasveer's goal. But since conceding, it's been a decent response from Napoli.
Yeah, it's exactly what Luciano Spalletti would have wanted. He would have wanted his players to get back onto the attack in front where we know they're so dangerous from, and they're now forcing Ajax further and further back. They didn't get the rewards that time around, but it'll likely mean that they keep less of a deep defensive line and will look to try and press Ajax further up the field.
Yeah, had Ajax pinned back inside their own penalty area there as Pasveer and Timber exchange passes. It's now with Sanchez down the right-hand side, and again he's forced back to his goalkeeper, who, it's a poor pass from Pasveer. They're under a bit of pressure from Kvaratskhelia, and he plays it straight out of play for a throw-in, so the momentum that Ajax would have been, were building up and were hoping would be extended further by scoring, it's just been quelled by Napoli. That double change and perhaps a little bit of a switch in tactics as well from Luciano Spalletti has just allowed the home side to get a foothold back in this game. Remember, they still lead by 2-1. It's Kim Min-jae in possession. Comes up towards the halfway line, feeds Lobotka, who's not feeling any ill effects from that strong reducing challenge he was the victim of from Edson Alvarez. Out with Oliveira now on the left-hand side. Looking to work the ball down the line to Kvaratskhelia, who rode the challenge of Sanchez, but just ran out of room on that left-hand flank, so it goes out to play for a throw-in to Ajax. But 35 minutes of the 90 left, plus stoppage time. I think we're set up for a cracking end to this game.
Oh, we really are. I don't think that the goals have stopped here. Ajax are going to have to press forward further and try and get this equalising goal, and they're now within touching distance of it. But Ajax, we know the dangers that they pose if they're on top, or even if they are doing a bit more of a defensive work. They can be so dangerous on the counter, and now with the likes of Osimhen on the field as well, it makes it a bit more awkward from a defensive point of view for Ajax, as there's more height and physicality for Napoli players to aim for.
Napoli looking to come forward again down the right-hand side with Hirving Lozano into Ndombele. Lobotka now keeps the ball moving back towards the halfway line. Jesus out to Oliveira. There's tempo to this Napoli attack. Zielinski's picked up a pocket of space but can't reverse it to the advancing Oliveira. Kudus then is barged off the ball by Jesus and will get the throw-in for Ajax, which allows the defenders to push a little bit further up towards the halfway line at the very least. Elsewhere in the Champions League, incidentally, still Atletico Madrid 0, Club Brugge 0 in the other 7:45 kick-off. Remember, a point for Club Brugge would be enough to see them progress through with 2 games to spare. Like Napoli, as Osherman, he's in behind. Surely the offside flag's going to be raised. It doesn't matter anyway because Pasveer makes the save, sticking out his leg. And I think Victor Osherman knew there, if he'd found the back of the net, the assistant would have been raising his flag. Yeah,
it was about a yard or so offside there, Osherman. It was a nice idea from the through ball. Just never really watched the line, and you've got to give credit as well to Jurrien Timber, who got himself up to play that offside trap, and it was a quite easy decision in the end for the linesman. But also take nothing away from Pasveer, because he can't be confident that it's definitely offside and still makes an important save.
Yeah, he did well to stick out a right leg there, the experienced Dutchman. As Napoli win the ball back. Ajax struggling to get on their own half at the moment. It's Di Lorenzo on the right-hand side. Cross into the box. Osherman gets his head to it, extending those net muscles. I think he'd sensed that Pasveer had just strayed a few yards off his line and was trying to loop it over the the goalkeeper. Difficult because he's trying to generate so much power himself from the cross, but another sign that Napoli are getting back on the front foot in this game.
It is. It's a wonderful leap from Osimhen as well. He holds his height miraculously well when the ball's delivered in. He gets plenty of power behind it, but in going for more power, because he was closer towards the edge of the area, he sacrificed accuracy for it. In the end, it was quite comfortably wide and over. But there's an opportunity here for Ajax.
Yeah, Bassi doing well down the left, pulls it back to Bergwijn. There's space for Klaas, and into the penalty area he goes. And Oliveira, who was perhaps at fault for the Ajax goal a few minutes ago, this time he stretches, and it's a really important touch from the left back to turn it behind for a corner.
Yeah, vital bit of defending there. If he doesn't get his head onto that, Klaassen has basically a tap in at the back post. Vital bit of defending by the fullback, and now an opportunity for Ajax from the corner.
Berghuis in swinging delivery. It's a good ball as well. Heads go up. Kim, I think, got enough on it for Napoli, and Zielinski then lashes the ball clear up towards the halfway line. They'll break now out towards the right-hand side where Bassi and Di Lorenzo jostle. Bassi gets there first, but only at the expense of a throw-in to Napoli. 12.5 minutes into the second half. Napoli 2, Ajax 1. This is a very intriguing and delicately poised Champions League group match. We always knew it was going to be entertaining, and so it is proving so far. Ndombele for Napoli. Swirls it back towards Kim, who in turn shifts it to Alex Mere. The goalkeeper's made too many saves in this game. Uses his body to roll. Perez squeezes it back now to Oliveira. I'm not sure how Kvaratskhelia and Napoli have come away with possession there. Lobotka now with a good pass out to Di Lorenzo on the right-hand side. He pulls it to the edge of the area. Control from Ndombele, sends it into the air. And by the time it comes back down, his shot is blocked at source by a couple of Ajax defenders. I think it might have spun out for a corner, although I'm not sure if the referee's given a decision for something else.
I think it can realistically only be a corner kick. I think they're appealing for a handball, appealing for a penalty. It would be really, really harsh if that goes against Julian Timber. I mean, it does clearly hit the hand. It's just whether or not it's enough for it to be given as penalty, because he can't really move his arm out of the way there. Is it in an unnatural position? It's being checked by VAR. It's one of those that with the VAR rules,
I mean, it's hit from point-blank range by Ndombele. It strikes the arm as he's throwing himself in the way. Timber, he's trying to block it with his body. He's trying to pull his hand out the way. It's an accidental touch. This shouldn't. It might be given, but it shouldn't be given as a penalty.
Yeah, but back to my earlier point, the fact I say that it's one of those you've seen them given does not mean it should be given at all. I mean, the more you look at the replay, yes, it does clearly hit the hand, but there's no logical way that he can get his arm away from it, and it is going to be a penalty. It's a decision that I'm sure me and you do not agree with, but unfortunately it's one that I think we all saw coming.
Yeah, it's absurd, really. The referee looked at that, and all he looked at was a still of the ball hitting Timber's hand. So, I mean, how you can judge that? Surely you have to watch it in real time. That's a debate for another day, perhaps. But I feel really sorry there for Ajax and Julian Timber. Kenny Taylor was down in the middle of that, and has been receiving treatment. Still is actually on the pitch. Looks like there's a debate going on between the Napoli players about who's going to take this. Kvaratskhelia has the ball in his hand, and Ndombele's involved. 4 or 5 of them actually standing around. Ajax players as well, perhaps trying to delay the taking of this spot kick. The referee had his yellow card out there as well, so I'm not sure if he's showing that to anyone in the immediate aftermath of giving that penalty. Surely he can't have booked Timber for the handball. That would have added insult to injury, but it looks like it is going to be Kvaratskhelia who's placing the ball and will be taking this spot kick.
Yes, I think it will be the trick in Georgian that is going to take it. Di Lorenzo, I think, is trying to shepherd Klaassen away from the Georgian so he can stop trying to put him off. But big opportunity this for Napoli to maybe, I wouldn't say put the game to bed, but surely, almost certainly seal the points.
Yeah, restore their 2-goal advantage. Kvaratskhelia standing over the ball. He's already got an assist to his name this evening, the Georgian. It's been absolutely fabulous at times in this game. Up against Remco Pasveer. Can he find the back of the net? He steps up, right-footed, drills it high into the roof of the net. Pasveer guesses the right way, but he can't get anywhere near it. It's a quality finish from Kvaratskhelia, his second Champions League goal of the season, his second against Ajax, and Napoli have restored the 2-goal advantage they had at half-time.
Yeah, it's a wonderful penalty by the Georgian. As we see another replay of the decision itself. And it looks like Timber was actually shown a yellow card for that, which is, I think I agree with you, very, very harsh on the defender. But take nothing away from the finish from Kvaratskhelia. It's towards the left-hand side. Yes, it's not like fully in the corner, and perhaps it goes the right way, but just so much power behind it makes it so difficult to save.
Yeah, there's so much power, and there's the right amount of height as well that the keeper was never going to get there. Just saw a replay as well. Osherman actually handed the ball to Kvaratskhelia and almost insisted that he should take it. So that's a sign of the standing that Kvaratskhelia has within this Napoli squad as well. Yeah, Timber booked for that. Maybe not for the hand. I hope it wasn't for the handball. maybe it was his complaints afterwards. But he's on a yellow, and he's the fourth Ajax player on a yellow in this game, joining Sanchez, Alvarez, and Taylor in the referee's notebook, all playing in positions where they could potentially pick up a second yellow card, although one of those Ajax players, Kenny Taylor, has gone back down. He received treatment before the penalty was taken, seemed to pick up a knock in the build-up to the handball, and Calvin Bassey there indicating that Taylor is going to need to be replaced.
Yeah, I didn't quite see exactly what it was that actually caused the injury to Taylor, but he's clearly not in a good way. He's struggling to move with any real freedom. As we look on the bench for Ajax, the likely players that's likely to come on, I'd imagine it might be Florian Grilic, if anyone's going to come on to replace Taylor. As we're seeing somebody getting ready on the right-hand side, can't quite work out who that is. The numbers being shown all the same for the change, and it is going to be Florian Grilic that comes on instead of Taylor.
Yeah, it's a good call there. Grilic, the Austrian international, entering the fray. A blow, though, to lose Kenny Taylor in the middle of the park. A threat going forward he was in the first half as he hobbles off the far side of the pitch. Grilic joined from Hoffenheim during the summer. Chance for him to show what he can do, as Ajax have little over 25 minutes plus stoppage time to try and work their way back into the game. They're going to make a second substitution as well, and it's going to be Brian Brobby who's going to be coming on, and Kudus is going to be replaced. So it's a like-for-like substitution up front, and Kudus, who's had such a good Champions League campaign so far, but for me anyway, a little bit disappointing this evening.
Yeah, I was saying it's actually a little bit of an understatement. I think he's had a really, really poor game. There's been another change as well. Jorge Sanchez, he's been replaced by Yuri Bass on the right-hand side. I'd imagine that is a bit of a tactical swap, just so that there isn't a player on a yellow card trying to deal with Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah, two of the yellow-carded players now for Ajax have been replaced. Taylor, an enforced change, but tactical one there, seeing Bass come on for Jorge Sanchez. So 3 changes there, all in succession, if you like, in the same period of play, but it took a while to get them on there. Ajax, so Bass, Grilic and Brobby are on. Kudus, Taylor and Jorge Sanchez have been replaced. So fresh legs for Ajax for these final 25 minutes or so. They're trailing Napoli by 3-1, and it's Napoli coming forward. Oliveira down the left-hand side on the halfway line into Zielinski. Lovely flick from Kvaratskhelia, and Oliveira's too quick for Calvin Bassey, who looks like he's switched across to this right-hand side. Actually, he's fouled this man. He's going to be yellow-carded as well, so another Ajax player to be booked. Bassey, a natural left footer on that right hand side, and didn't look comfortable there against Oliveira.
No, he really didn't. He struggled to get back at the full back, and he's always struggling to actually get anywhere near the ball, so it's always going to be a free kick. And I think Bassey has actually given away maybe 4 or 5 fouls already, so it's not surprising he was shown a yellow for that. The foul in isolation isn't bad, but it's an accumulation.
Yeah, absolutely, certainly. Come to the attention of the referee as Zielinski has a waste from the left-hand side, tried to whip it in too quickly. I think Zielinski too quickly for his teammates in the middle. Runs harmlessly through to Pasveer. Maybe it's a back 3 actually from Ajax now. Bassey might be joining Blind and Timber in the defence. Although, as I say, that he has actually got forward down this right-hand side. Bassey, like he was on the other side of the pitch, and he's looking to take on Oliveira. Was he fouled there by Kvaratskhelia? Referee not interested. Kvaratskhelia tells Bassey to get to his feet in no uncertain terms. The two are now jostling again down this left-hand side. Kvaratskhelia, somehow he comes away with the ball. Even when it looks like he's lost it, and sometimes he has lost it, he still keeps it. And he's found Osherman now, who's driving into the penalty area. Can he get a shot away? He can, but I'm judging by Remco Pasveer, just let that go past him, that he's already heard the referee's whistle or perhaps spotted the assistant's flag.
He was so far offside as well. He's looking sort of down the right to see where the pass is coming from. It is really, really poor play from Osman to be caught that far offside from that attack. He had no need to be that high up, and it's a waste of what was a promising counter-attacking move for Napoli. But coming back to that earlier run, it is one of football's sort of unanswerable questions, and how Kvaratskhelia just somehow managed to keep the ball at any moment.
It kind of epitomises having the ball on the string, that
Yes.
kind of saying, because it looks like he does, because he loses it and then he just pulls the string and he's got it back off the defender again. It really is fabulous. He's got quite a unique running style with the ball. It's very difficult for defenders to keep him in his shelling intact, really, and it's been a fabulous performance so far from the Georgian, continuing to earn rave reviews both in Serie A and the Champions League this season. He scored Napoli's third goal then in this game. Napoli leading Ajax by 3-1. We're into the final quarter of the contest, so it gives me an opportunity to hand over to Will to take you through to the full-time whistle.
Thank you very much, Tom. So Bassi will go towards the right-hand side in Berghaus, now finding Timber, who spreads it wide towards Blind. Ajax trying to inch their way further up the field and get a way back into this fixture as Berghaus plays it off of Oliveira. Takes a throw in towards Yuri Bas. I think that might be his first touch of the ball since coming onto the field of play. Plays a little 1-2 with Bassi as well. Bassi then goes back towards Timber, just inside their own half at the moment. Ajax. Timber with the ball over towards the right-hand side in Berghaus, skipping away from Oliveira. Doing well to hold on to possession. Looks to try and spread it towards the left-hand side, then cuts back in. Sure, he's been caught there by Kvaratskhelia. It's going to be advantage for the time being, and then Alvarez lets it go, and then Lobotka will find Ndombele, and maybe an opportunity for Napoli to continue their attack. I'm surprised the referee didn't actually bring that back for the foul by Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah, we saw him on a few occasions, Felix Zweier, not play the advantage when he should have in the first half, and there wasn't really much of an advantage, and within a pass Ajax lose possession, so a little bit frustrating from their point of view, but from the referees, he'll feel I'll let you play on, and it's just because Alvarez miscontrolled. That's not the official's fault. No,
not at all, as Osman does really, really well to hold off Timber, and now goes towards the right-hand side in Di Lorenzo, and Herving Lozano's onside, and he'll try and break forward, has support in Osman. Will he try and find him? Tries to cut it back towards Zielinski. Great defending by Alvarez in the right place at the right time there. Should Lozano have gone for goal, Tom?
Yeah, he's looking up. Osherman's bursting a gut to get into the penalty area. Zielinski's at the far post. I think the angle might have been against him, but he ends up dissecting those two Napoli players in the middle, and as you say, Alvarez did well to intercept, but it was a wasted opportunity. Looking at the replay now, he would have just about, I think, been onside there, Lozano, so if Napoli had scored, then I'm pretty confident it would have stood.
Yes, as I just saw a replay there of Osman frustrated that the ball didn't find its way over to him. There's another stoppage for injury here. I think we're going to have a fair bit of added on time at the end of this one with the way players are going down. It's Julian Timber that's now down on the deck. Not seeing a replay in regards to how he got injured. As we see a replay of that goal for Ajax. A wonderful header by Davy Klaassen. That was almost saved by Alex Meret, but was palmed into the side of the net. Could he have done better there, Meret?
Just looking at the slow motion replay, you feel like as he gets his hand to the ball, it's almost his wrist that it hits, that he should have been able to get a strong enough arm on it, but I think the slow motion replay doesn't do justice for him, because there was plenty of power in the header from Klaassen, and it was difficult as he's stretching to try and get enough power on the save to turn it away. So no, I think it was just a good header from Klaassen. We've seen 3 really good goals in this game, and the penalty from Kvaratskhelia. It's been a really entertaining watch so far.
Yes, it has, as Timber is back onto his feet and just moving his way over off the field to be allowed back on. I think a few of the Ajax technical staff are wondering if it is actually going to be feasible for him to come on to the field of play once again. So I think Alvarez will slot in centre-back for the time being, whilst Timber receives a few more bits of support and treatment from the physios, as Oliveira will get away from Berghaus and goes back towards Alex Meret. Oliveira again, much isolated on this near left-hand side. Finds Tanguy Ndombele, who turns away from Davy Klaassen. Kvaratskhelia trying to find Oliveira, intercepted by Florian Grilic. Now with Timber. Grilic once again, he can't find the run of Alvarez. Oliveira, through ball to Ndombele, who's got support ahead of him in Kvaratskhelia, won't utilise him, instead moves towards the right in Di Lorenzo, and he'll have Lozano to his right if he wants to use him. Instead tries to float it into the area for Osimhen. It's flicked away by Timber, who's back onto the field of play. Zielinski will let that run for Kvaratskhelia. Attack still on for Napoli. Kvaratskhelia cross towards the back post. Header away again is well dealt with, and Grilic now will look to try and make the clearance and lift it over the top for Bergwijn. And the game's just getting more and more stretched, and Ajax will try and capitalise on this. Bergwijn, held up by Kim Min-jae, who utilises his strength well to shepherd him further back. But he'll still hold on to possession, doesn't have much in the way of movement. Bergwijn spreads it towards the right now in Berghuis. Overlapping Bassi. Calvin Bassi now with the opportunity. Trying to get away from Kvaratskhelia. Well defended by the Georgian. Goes out for yet another Ajax corner.
Nicely worked by Ajax. It just opened up when the reverse ball from Berghuis was played to Bassi. I thought he could have maybe, on his stronger left foot, curled that towards the corner or flashed it across goal. But he chose to take the touch, and that allowed Kvaratskhelia to get back.
So, corner kick for Ajax. They haven't been able to make any of these set pieces work so far. Ball into the area. Mere caught in no man's land. Headed away by Osimhen and by Kim Min-jae. Kvaratskhelia with a slice clearance further. Be picked up by Grilic. Back with Blind, who looks to try and float it into the area. Wasn't given the required run, so instead goes left towards Yuri Bas. Blinds down the line for Brobby. Bergwijn on the edge of the area, back to Brian Brobby, trying to lift it in, and that's really calm defending by Di Lorenzo to chest it back to his goalkeeper, and the attack finally breaks down for Ajax.
Yeah, Ajax just really, for the first time since scoring 25 minutes ago, having a spell of sustained play inside Napoli's half. Surely they're going to get more of that in these final 15-20 minutes as they look to try and force their way back into the game. Remember, realistically, they need to get something.
Well, they're in trouble here as Lozano breaks forward, being well watched by Haas. It's a really good save by Remco Pasveer. A lovely flick on by Osimhen to find Lozano, who used his pace to accelerate away from the defenders. And then his shot, he's trying to go hard and low towards the keeper's right. Pasveer equal to it.
Yeah, keeps Ajax in the game. He's made a couple of decent stops in this second half. Pasveer, one to Osimhen didn't matter because the offside flag was raised, but that one there certainly did.
As that through ball by Alvarez is poor, cleared away by Jesus. Now with Bassi. Moving it towards the right in Berghuis. He'll skip away from Di Lorenzo. Berghuis now looking for a bit of support. Finding Daley Blind. Options limited. Blind finding Klaassen. Now with Brobby. Back with Julian Timber. Under pressure from Zielinski. Goes backwards once again. Happy to hold on to it for the time being, Ajax, but they need to get a bit more headway going forward. In possession now is Berghuis. Spreading it wide for Bergwijn inwards towards Grilic. His effort though is well cleared away by Jesus. It was a scuff shot. It was actually the left back Yuri Bas that had the effort on goal, and he'll pick it up again here. Bas inside the area, tries to cut it back towards Berghuis, dealt with somewhat by Lobotka, still picked up though by the Dutchman. He'll get away from Di Lorenzo, now with Steven Bergwijn. Little drop of the shoulder, tries to poke it in towards Klaassen, dealt with by the Napoli defence, and Lozano will now maraud forward. Oh, it's a cynical foul by Steven Bergwijn. That will be a free kick, and it's probably the clearest yellow card you're going to see today.
Yeah, knows exactly what he's doing, and one or two Napoli players, Di Lorenzo in particular, not happy with the challenge. It's so cynical. No attempt to play the ball, but he knows that Lozano's breaking forward with pace, and there's other Napoli players getting forward in support, so he takes one for the team there, Steven Bergwijn, but that's what Ajax need. They need him more on the ball. Berghuis as well, who's been really impressive. Probably Ajax's best player going forward. If they can get those two players on the ball, Ajax, they've still got some hope of getting back into the game.
Well, we're seeing another couple of changes for Napoli. Matteo Politano is coming on for Irving Lozano. A bit of a like-for-like substitution there on the right-hand side. And I think that is Elif Elmas who is getting ready to come on as well for Napoli. Just waiting to see exactly who it is that he's replacing, and it is going to be a bit of respite for the Ajax defence, as it's Kvaratskhelia who's finally run his race.
Yeah, I don't think Ajax and the defenders in particular will be too disappointed to see either Lozano or Kvaratskhelia go off. Both have really impressed going forward in this game. And yeah, maybe just first of all, a nod that Luciano Spalletti might be shutting up shop, although as I say that, there might be an opportunity in behind.
Yes, there is. As the shot comes in, takes a big deflection. Will be a corner kick once again for Napoli. Their second of the game. Politano driving at the Ajax defence, this time causing a few issues on that right-hand side. They still might not flood too many people into the area, as they've got a 2-goal cushion at this moment in time. That looks like we might still see Kim Min-jae go forward for this corner. Doesn't look like Jesus is going to make any attempts to make his presence known in the area. So we wait this corner kick to be taken. It will be Zielinski. Not the greatest delivery. Header comes in by Di Lorenzo. And it was a scooped header that goes comfortably wide of the mark. And, well, the fact they didn't really commit too many players in there, Napoli, is probably an indication that they're going to try and see this out.
Yeah, there was a half attempt to go forward, as you say. One of the centre-backs made their way into the penalty area. It's the first step towards just sitting back and holding on to what you've got. If that corner was in 5, certainly 10 minutes' time, then neither centre-back would have come forward and the ball wouldn't have got anywhere near the penalty area. It would have been kept in the corner. But, yeah, Spalletti happy for Napoli to just take the 3-1 and then get themselves through to the next round of the Champions League. They've got one eye as well on Bologna at the weekend in Serie A.
In possession is Zielinski, and he'll find Ndombele. Through ball to Osimhen, who's punched it through the legs of Pasveer. The offside flag goes up. Osimhen furious with that decision, so upset with himself and frustrated that the decision has gone against him. We'll see a replay here. He is clearly about half a yard offside. His long strides took him away from Bassi. Great finish by Osimhen, but he won't get his name on the score sheet, at least at this time of asking.
Yeah, he's been caught offside a few times since coming on, like Mohamed Kudus was for Ajax during the first half. The difference is Osimhen's playing on that shoulder. He's trying to curve. He's trying to bend his run. Yes, he's getting caught by half a yard here or there, but it's dangerous. What Kudus was doing in the first half when he was caught offside was not a lot, really. He was just standing there and getting caught in a static position. Osimhen just needs to get one of them right, and he is getting his name on the score sheet and wrapping the points up for Napoli.
Zielinski gets away from Klaassen. Will now find support in the form of Elmas. Back towards Lobotka, easily getting away from Alvarez, and Napoli are just seeing more and more gaps open up in front of them as Lobotka tries to chip the ball over the top for Osimhen. It was the wrong idea of a pass for me. Could have easily gone for goal or played it along the deck, went for the cute pass, and it did not work out.
Yeah, I think he should have gone for goal there, Lobotka. Lovely turn in the middle of the park and had the freedom to break forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Osimhen again, I think, had gone offside, and the players at either side were being tightly marked, so it would have been within his rights there, Stanislas Lobotka, to strike towards goal, but not really his forte. I think he has had a really good game in the middle of the park, looked really tidy in possession, but yeah, didn't make the right decision there.
Here's Timber, moving towards Grilic. Spreads it wide towards Calvin Bassi. Backwards towards Berghaus now. Still on the right-hand side and inside the Napoli half. Alvarez finding Blind. Seeing support to his left in the form of Berghaus, but won't do anything further with it. Now with the opportunity to come forward is Julian Timber. Berghaus trying to find Brobby, aiming to give it back to him, and it looks like it might be a penalty that's awarded. I think there was a hold by Jesus on Brobby, and there is going to be a penalty for Ajax, so maybe there is going to be an opportunity for the Dutch side to still have the hope of getting back into this. I mean, there's a slight hold on the left-hand side, but I don't think it's too much from Jesus. I think that's a really, really soft penalty.
This could actually be harsher than the one at the other end, which we couldn't believe was given earlier on. Brobby's hand is on Jesus. He's holding the defender off. The defender then puts his arm over. There's not much contact whatsoever, minimal at most. But it looks like, well, I'm not sure if the referee's in consultation with his VAR. There doesn't appear to be a check necessarily ongoing. And it looks like Ajax are going to have the opportunity to reduce the deficit to 1 and potentially set up a grandstand finish.
Yes, I'm sure there's still going to be words in the ear of the referee. Bergwijn still, I think, waiting for the go-ahead. But it does look like, for all the world, that this penalty is going to go ahead. As Bergwijn is definitely going to be the player to take it. It's a penalty that's got to be scored. They can't afford to miss this. As Di Lorenzo continues to have a few words with the referees, indicate the VAR check is over. So it will be Bergwijn versus Alex Meret. And a real opportunity for the Dutch side to get back into this. Referee, make sure, keeper's on his line. Blows his whistle. Bergwijn, deep breath. It is Bergwijn, and he hammers it into the right-hand corner. Napoli 3, Ajax 2, and with 7.5 minutes remaining, Ajax will probably feel like they've got the wind in their sails to get something out of this.
Yeah, clinical penalty from Bergwijn, pretty similar to Kvaratskhelia at the other end. Again, the keeper guessed the right way. This one actually more in the corner, though, from Bergwijn. Actually a better penalty than Kvaratskhelia, but yeah, I still can't believe that's been given. I suppose it's evened out. Justice has been done. Two wrongs make a right. All the cliches I can think of in that situation. But they've both got a penalty they didn't deserve. They both scored it. So we'll draw a line under it. Although I don't think Felix Weyer and the VAR team have quite covered themselves in glory in this game.
No, but it looks like that's actually going to be Bergwijn's final moment of joy in this game. He is being replaced by Lucas Ocampos, I should say. So that's a like-for-like swap on that left-hand wing. And it looks like Francisco Conceição is going to come on as well. Just waiting on confirmation on who it is he is replacing. It is Steven Berghuis. So the two Steven Bergs are going off for Ajax. But will Napoli immediately punish them with Politano? Di Lorenzo, support in the area, won't utilise him. Instead goes towards the right-hand side in Ndombele, back towards Di Lorenzo, supporting the area, finding Osimhen. Oh, how has he put that over? How has that not gone into the back of the net for Napoli? Wonderful ball in by Di Lorenzo. Osimhen got away from his marker, and he's put it over from probably no more than 3 yards out.
Oh, it's a sitter from Osimhen. He may have been offside, which might just about save his blushes, but it's a brilliant ball into the 6-yard box from Di Lorenzo. He's 3 yards out. Yes, it's a bouncing ball moving at pace, but all he has to do is cushion that into the back of the net, and somehow it spurns off his ankle, his shin, a combination of the two, and over the top of the crossbar. As I say, possibly was offside, and it wouldn't have counted anyway, but he didn't know that, and he's got to be fine in the back of the net.
Really, really poor from Victor Osimhen. And it's just not been his day since coming onto the field of play. But Napoli still trying to press and put this game to bed. It seems to be that whenever they are under pressure and they feel like they need to get a goal, they're on creating their own. There's been a red card for Club Brugge against Atletico Madrid. Kamal Soa has been shown a second yellow card for unsportsmanlike conduct in that game. So they are down to 10 men and trying to see out what would be a valuable point in their game away from home against Atletico Madrid. So around 4.5 minutes remaining of the mandatory 90 in ours, plus added on time for stoppages, which I imagine we might have a few minutes of. Due to various VAR checks, injuries and goals and substitutions, as Bassi breaks on the right-hand side. Here's Alvarez, now with Grilic, dangerous ball towards the back post, Brobbey's header. It'll be turned away by Kim Min-jae and might be brought back though for an earlier foul by Brobbey on the defender. And it will be an opportunity for Napoli to clear their lines there, but Ajax, they're flooding players into the area whenever they have an opportunity to.
Yeah, and Brobbey's had an impact physically up there. He's causing one or two problems to that Napoli backline. Won the penalty for his team, and just a little nudge in the back of Kim Min-jae there to send the defender to the ground. But he's a threat in the middle, and you sense there's going to be all Ajax going forward for these final few minutes. Although we know the counter-attack, there's always the possibility and scope for Napoli to go on and add a fourth as well.
Now the opportunity to break down the left is Elmas, but he's loses out to Conceição, and he'll still hold on to it. Lovely dribbling. Oh, he's been side down there by Juan Jesus. That will be a free kick. Conceição down on the deck, clutching his chest from that collision. It will be a free kick, and it will also be yet another yellow card in this game. And Juan Jesus picks it up, and that actually might be the first yellow card for Napoli.
Yeah, lots of yellow cards, but they've tended to come for Ajax players. 6 have been booked for the visitors, but yeah, Juan Jesus, the first player in Napoli colours to receive a yellow there. And again, like most of them, really, there's not too much doubt about it.
No, so how will Napoli deal with this free kick? Juan Jesus tries to organise his players. They're not playing a high line at the moment, Napoli. They've got 5 players standing on the 6-yard box, trying to flood their own area. Grilic needs to be a good delivery towards the back post, trying to be nodded down by Bas on the left-hand side. It was well dealt with in the end, though. Opportunity still with Ajax. The throw-in by Yuri Bas be delayed as he's got no support whatsoever. Eventually gets it in the form of the former Sevilla man, Ocampos. Now back towards Grilic. Over the top, intending for David Klaassen. It's going to be left by Di Lorenzo and Kim Min-jae. Good defending by the two, and that will go out comfortably for a goal kick.
Yeah, good communication between Kim and Di Lorenzo, because Klaassen had checked his run and was waiting for a potential knockdown, but they managed to let it run out for a goal kick. And just every time that happens, the frustration will grow for Ajax, and it just takes the sting out of the game a little bit more as we're making a substitution, which is exactly what Napoli are doing now.
Yeah, Piotr Zielinski has run his race. He's being replaced by Gianluca Gaetano in the centre of midfield. So he'll have about a minute and a half of the 90 to play out before he'll have to do his duties for the remaining added time. As Alex Mere still waits to take this goal kick, he's ushering his players further up the field in order to give himself a little bit more breathing room. He'll find Osimhen with the flick on. Politano won't get on the end of that. Yuri Bas goes all the way back, intending towards Pasveer. Blind under pressure from Osimhen. Oh, it's a howler, and Osimhen's there to convert. What an awful defensive moment for Ajax. They have cost themselves an opportunity of getting back into this game, and Osimhen has finally got on the score sheet. No chance of that being offside that time around. His persistence paid off, and it's a howler from Daley Blind.
Yeah, he's had quite a few opportunities, hasn't he, since coming on early in this second half, Victor Osimhen, but that's perseverance as well, closing down, giving up, keeping going when it looked a lost cause. Blind looked in control. He wants Pasveer to create an angle so he can play the pass. He should have just been knocking that back to his goalkeeper. Takes far too long, no awareness of what's around him. It's a
Ajax in third with 3 points, looking increasingly likely that they'll have to settle for the Europa League. But they still have Liverpool to play. In fact, that is their next game at home, and they will obviously face Rangers as well at Ibrox. But it's looking increasingly likely that they're not going to be able to progress this time around. 5 minutes of added time have been shown at the end of this one. I'm sure it's going to be 5 long minutes for Ajax, as Osimhen's been shown a yellow card for taking off his shirt in the celebrations.
Yeah, no surprise there, another yellow card in this game. But it's just taken the sting out of proceedings as well, because at 3-2, and Ajax find out they've got 5 minutes to try and get back in the game. That would lift the visitors, but not now that they've got a 2-goal deficit once again. Napoli are looking to come forward and perhaps add further gloss to the scoreline. Yeah,
Di Lorenzo moving towards the right-hand side in Politano. He'll cut inwards away from Bas. Lovely dribbling, and he just actually does too much. The end is tackled by Klaassen. That's a really cynical handball by Politano. It will be a free kick, but he's not going to be shown a yellow card, though, by the referee. Just a little bit of a word in his ear. But as the Napoli fans still watch on, happy with what they've seen. 17 goals in the competition from Napoli so far. I just wonder if they are the competition's top goal scorers. I have a feeling that they might be. Scroll down, not only are they're quite comfortably they're 6 goals ahead of their nearest competitors, which just shows how dangerous this side could be in this year's competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's 14 goals in 3 games in the space of 8 days. If you throw in last week's game against Ajax and the Serie A match with Cremonese at the weekend, they are flying going forward. Still, based on what we've seen this evening, a little bit suspect defensively. They've also conceded in all 3 of those games. This is another cynical foul over on the far side. Di Lorenzo this time. Politano was booked incidentally for the handball, and rightly so. Just wondering if maybe Di Lorenzo will be the latest player to be cautioned. It's been a very busy, particularly second half for the match officials.
Yes, it has. It doesn't look like we're seeing any yellow card being shown to Di Lorenzo, but it will be a free kick all the same for Ajax. They've been on the receiving end of a awful late comeback, of course, against Tottenham, going out on the semi-final stage due to a last-minute goal from Lucas Moura. Can they pull off an unlikely one here? Or Blind's shot is well blocked and then turned away. Here's Alvarez finding Conceição, twisting, turning, caught by Gaetano. Doesn't look like he's going to be shown a yellow card. Will be a free kick for Ajax. So they take quickly. They'll have to try and get this ball into the area as soon as possible. As Blind is put under pressure by Osimhen, finds Alvarez. Back now with Timber. Wanted to go towards Bassi, put under pressure by Elmas, and goes all the way back once again towards Pasveer. As we're into like the dying embers of this game, only under 2 minutes remaining. Do you have any idea of a man of the match in mind, Tom?
It's difficult, isn't it? A lot of Napoli players have stood out and contributed really big moments. A lot of those attacking players as well weren't that involved in the game at various points. I think Kvaratskhelia, though, first time I've seen him in a full 90-minute match, if you like, rather than just clips. He's really impressed me. He's so graceful on the ball, and although he wasn't always involved in the general play, when he popped up, he did meaningful things. He scored, he assisted, so I'd probably edge towards the Georgian.
Yeah, I think it's hard to disagree with that. He's had a wonderful performance yet again, Kvaratskhelia, but you could really name the vast majority of any of that Napoli's starting 11, and an argument could quite easily be made for them. As the pass intending for Osimhen is turned away by Blind, headed down by Jesus. As far as Klaassen, squirm underneath his boot. Gaetano finding Politano. Away from Bass, and then finds support in Lobotka. Now they're going to have one final attack in the dying embers here as Mateus Oliveira breaks forward to support in Elmas to his left. Here is Elif Elmas taking on Bassi. Twists, turns, being held up by the former Rangers man. It's good dribbling though by Elmas. Now with Ndombele, back towards the forward. They just focus on running down this clock. Lobotka, now with Kim Min-jae. Ndombele. Elmas, breaking down the left once again. Quick feet, but not getting much in the way of support. The pass is then poor, cut out by Conceição. Then he hammers the ball away from danger. I can't imagine we're going to have too much time. Is that going to be the full-time whistle blown? It looks like it is. The full-time whistle has now gone. It's another victory for Napoli. They have won this game by 4-2. They will be on 12 points, and their progression into the next round of the Champions League is assured. Wonderful performance by them, and we'll see you in the next one.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our
Here are your latest sport headlines. I'm Tom McGarry, and we begin with football, as there were 5 matches taking place in the Premier League across Saturday. Manchester City were involved in one of those, and they have moved to the top of the standings on a temporary basis at least, after securing a 4-0 victory over Southampton at the Etihad. Erling Haaland, of course, was amongst the goal scorers, although the Norwegian only netted once in this contest. There was also a big victory for Newcastle, who thrashed Brentford by 5-1. Bruno Guimaraes scored a brace for the Magpies. Chelsea were 3-0 winners at home to managerless Wolves, whilst Bournemouth ramped up the pressure on Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers as the Cherries came from behind to beat Leicester 2-1 at the Vitality Stadium. In the late kick-off, Harry Kane's first half goal was enough to see Tottenham win 1-0 away at Brighton. Elsewhere, and in Formula 1, Max Verstappen is in prime position to secure a second world title at Sunday's Japanese Grand Prix after clinching pole during qualifying in Suzuka. The Red Bull driver will seal the Drivers' Championship crown if he claims race victory at Suzuka Circuit alongside setting the fastest lap. There was an element of controversy regarding Verstappen clinching pole, as he was reprimanded following an incident involving McLaren's Lando Norris during the final session. But the Dutchman escaped punishment following a post-qualifying investigation. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start second on the grid. Elsewhere, and in rugby union, Sale Sharks have moved to the top of the Premiership standings after coming from behind to beat defending champions Leicester Tigers 26-16 at Welford Road. The Tigers had been 16-12 up at the break, but Sale rallied and scored 14 unanswered points in the second half to record their 4th win from as many matches at the start of the season. The defeat leaves Leicester 7th, as in the day's other game, Gloucester moved up to 6th by virtue of their 21 points to 17 victory away at Bath, who remain at the foot of the table after losing all 5 of their matches to date. Finally, in horse racing, Frankie Dettori steered Chaldine to victory in the Dewhurst Stakes at Newmarket on Saturday afternoon, marking Chaldine out as the star 2-year-old of the flat season. Chaldine led early on in the Group 1 showpiece and held on for victory despite a stern challenge from Royal Scotsman late on. Chaldine was the 5-2 joint favourite heading into the race, and she has now been marked out as one of the leading contenders for the 2,000 guineas next May. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sport headlines. I'm Tom McGarry, and we begin with football, as there were 5 matches taking place in the Premier League across Saturday. Manchester City were involved in one of those, and they have moved to the top of the standings on a temporary basis at least, after securing a 4-0 victory over Southampton at the Etihad. Erling Haaland, of course, was amongst the goal scorers, although the Norwegian only netted once in this contest. There was also a big victory for Newcastle, who thrashed Brentford by 5-1. Bruno Guimaraes scored a brace for the Magpies. Chelsea were 3-0 winners at home to managerless Wolves, whilst Bournemouth ramped up the pressure on Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers as the Cherries came from behind to beat Leicester 2-1 at the Vitality Stadium. In the late kick-off, Harry Kane's first half goal was enough to see Tottenham win 1-0 away at Brighton. Elsewhere, and in Formula One, Max Verstappen is in prime position to secure a second world title at Sunday's Japanese Grand Prix after clinching pole during qualifying in Suzuka. The Red Bull driver will seal the Drivers' Championship crown if he claims race victory at Suzuka circuit alongside setting the fastest lap. There was an element of controversy regarding Verstappen clinching pole as he was reprimanded following an incident involving McLaren's Lando Norris during the final session, but the Dutchman escaped punishment following a post-qualifying investigation. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start second on the grid. Elsewhere, and in rugby union, Sale Sharks have moved to the top of the Premiership standings after coming from behind to beat defending champions Leicester Tigers 26-16 at Welford Road. The Tigers had been 16-12 up at the break, but Sale rallied and scored 14 unanswered points in the second half to record their fourth win from as many matches at the start of the season. The defeat leaves Leicester 7th, as in the day's other game, Gloucester moved up to 6th by virtue of their 21 points to 17 victory away at Bath, who remain at the foot of the table after losing all 5 of their matches to date. Finally, in horse racing, Frankie Dettori steered Chaldine to victory in the Dewhurst Stakes at Newmarket on Saturday afternoon, marking Chaldine out as the star 2-year-old of the flat season. Chaldine led early on in the Group 1 showpiece and held on for victory despite a stern challenge from Royal Scotsman late on. Chaldine was the 5-2 joint favourite heading into the race, and she has now been marked out as one of the leading contenders for the 2,000 Guineas next May. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sport headlines. I'm Tom McGarry, and we begin with football, as there were 5 matches taking place in the Premier League across Saturday. Manchester City were involved in one of those, and they have moved to the top of the standings on a temporary basis at least, after securing a 4-0 victory over Southampton at the Etihad. Erling Haaland, of course, was amongst the goal scorers, although the Norwegian only netted once in this contest. There was also a big victory for Newcastle, who thrashed Brentford by 5-1. Bruno Guimaraes scored a brace for the Magpies. Chelsea were 3-0 winners at home to managerless Wolves, whilst Bournemouth ramped up the pressure on Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers as the Cherries came from behind to beat Leicester 2-1 at the Vitality Stadium. In the late kick-off, Harry Kane's first half goal was enough to see Tottenham win 1-0 away at Brighton. Elsewhere, and in Formula One, Max Verstappen is in prime position to secure a second world title at Sunday's Japanese Grand Prix after clinching pole during qualifying in Suzuka. The Red Bull driver will seal the Drivers' Championship crown if he claims race victory at Suzuka circuit alongside setting the fastest lap. There was an element of controversy regarding Verstappen clinching pole as he was reprimanded following an incident involving McLaren's Lando Norris during the final session, but the Dutchman escaped punishment following a post-qualifying investigation. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start second on the grid. Elsewhere, and in rugby union, Sale Sharks have moved to the top of the Premiership standings after coming from behind to beat defending champions Leicester Tigers 26-16 at Welford Road. The Tigers had been 16-12 up at the break, but Sale rallied and scored 14 unanswered points in the second half to record their 4th win from as many matches at the start of the season. The defeat leaves Leicester 7th, as in the day's other game, Gloucester moved up to 6th by virtue of their 21 points to 17 victory away at Bath, who remain at the foot of the table after losing all 5 of their matches to date. Finally, in horse racing, Frankie Dettori steered Chaldine to victory in the Dewhurst Stakes at Newmarket on Saturday afternoon, marking Chaldine out as the star 2-year-old of the flat season. Chaldine led early on in the Group 1 showpiece and held on for victory despite a stern challenge from Royal Scotsman late on. Chaldine was the 5-2 joint favourite heading into the race, and she has now been marked out as one of the leading contenders for the 2,000 guineas next May. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sport headlines. I'm Tom McGarry, and we begin with football, as there were 5 matches taking place in the Premier League across Saturday. Manchester City were involved in one of those, and they have moved to the top of the standings on a temporary basis at least, after securing a 4-0 victory over Southampton at the Etihad. Erling Haaland, of course, was amongst the goal scorers, although the Norwegian only netted once in this contest. There was also a big victory for Newcastle, who thrashed Brentford by 5-1. Bruno Guimaraes scored a brace for the Magpies. Chelsea were 3-0 winners at home to managerless Wolves, whilst Bournemouth ramped up the pressure on Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers as the Cherries came from behind to beat Leicester 2-1 at the Vitality Stadium. In the late kick-off, Harry Kane's first half goal was enough to see Tottenham win 1-0 away at Brighton. Elsewhere, and in Formula 1, Max Verstappen is in prime position to secure a second world title at Sunday's Japanese Grand Prix after clinching pole during qualifying in Suzuka. The Red Bull driver will seal the Drivers' Championship crown if he claims race victory at Suzuka Circuit alongside setting the fastest lap. There was an element of controversy regarding Verstappen clinching pole, as he was reprimanded following an incident involving McLaren's Lando Norris during the final session, but the Dutchman escaped punishment following a post-qualifying investigation. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start second on the grid. Elsewhere, and in rugby union, Sale Sharks have moved to the top of the Premiership standings after coming from behind to beat defending champions Leicester Tigers 26-16 at Welford Road. The Tigers had been 16-12 up at the break, but Sale rallied and scored 14 unanswered points in the second half to record their 4th win from as many matches at the start of the season. The defeat leaves Leicester 7th, as in the day's other game, Gloucester moved up to 6th by virtue of their 21 points to 17 victory away at Bath, who remain at the foot of the table after losing all 5 of their matches to date. Finally, in horse racing, Frankie Dettori steered Chaldine to victory in the Dewhurst Stakes at Newmarket on Saturday afternoon, marking Chaldine out as the star 2-year-old of the flat season. Chaldine led early on in the Group 1 showpiece and held on for victory despite a stern challenge from Royal Scotsman late on. Chaldine was the 5-2 joint favourite heading into the race, and she has now been marked out as one of the leading contenders for the 2,000 guineas next May. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sport headlines. I'm Tom McGarry, and we begin with football, as there were 5 matches taking place in the Premier League across Saturday. Manchester City were involved in one of those, and they have moved to the top of the standings on a temporary basis at least, after securing a 4-0 victory over Southampton at the Etihad. Erling Haaland, of course, was amongst the goal scorers, although the Norwegian only netted once in this contest. There was also a big victory for Newcastle, who thrashed Brentford by 5-1. Bruno Guimaraes scored a brace for the Magpies. Chelsea were 3-0 winners at home to managerless Wolves, whilst Bournemouth ramped up the pressure on Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers as the Cherries came from behind to beat Leicester 2-1 at the Vitality Stadium. In the late kick-off, Harry Kane's first half goal was enough to see Tottenham win 1-0 away at Brighton. Elsewhere, and in Formula One, Max Verstappen is in prime position to secure a second world title at Sunday's Japanese Grand Prix after clinching pole during qualifying in Suzuka. The Red Bull driver will seal the Drivers' Championship crown if he claims race victory at Suzuka circuit alongside setting the fastest lap. There was an element of controversy regarding Verstappen clinching pole as he was reprimanded following an incident involving McLaren's Lando Norris during the final session, but the Dutchman escaped punishment following a post-qualifying investigation. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start second on the grid. Elsewhere, and in rugby union, Sale Sharks have moved to the top of the Premiership standings after coming from behind to beat defending champions Leicester Tigers 26-16 at Welford Road. The Tigers had been 16-12 up at the break, but Sale rallied and scored 14 unanswered points in the second half to record their fourth win from as many matches at the start of the season. The defeat leaves Leicester 7th, as in the day's other game, Gloucester moved up to 6th by virtue of their 21 points to 17 victory away at Bath, who remain at the foot of the table after losing all 5 of their matches to date. Finally, in horse racing, Frankie Dettori steered Chaldine to victory in the Dewhurst Stakes at Newmarket on Saturday afternoon, marking Chaldine out as the star 2-year-old of the flat season. Chaldine led early on in the Group 1 showpiece and held on for victory despite a stern challenge from Royal Scotsman late on. Chaldine was the 5-2 joint favourite heading into the race, and she has now been marked out as one of the leading contenders for the 2,000 Guineas next May. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sport headlines. I'm Tom McGarry, and we begin with football, as there were 5 matches taking place in the Premier League across Saturday. Manchester City were involved in one of those, and they have moved to the top of the standings on a temporary basis at least, after securing a 4-0 victory over Southampton at the Etihad. Erling Haaland, of course, was amongst the goal scorers, although the Norwegian only netted once in this contest. There was also a big victory for Newcastle, who thrashed Brentford by 5-1. Bruno Guimaraes scored a brace for the Magpies. Chelsea were 3-0 winners at home to managerless Wolves, whilst Bournemouth ramped up the pressure on Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers as the Cherries came from behind to beat Leicester 2-1 at the Vitality Stadium. In the late kick-off, Harry Kane's first half goal was enough to see Tottenham win 1-0 away at Brighton. Elsewhere, and in Formula One, Max Verstappen is in prime position to secure a second world title at Sunday's Japanese Grand Prix after clinching pole during qualifying in Suzuka. The Red Bull driver will seal the Drivers' Championship crown if he claims race victory at Suzuka circuit alongside setting the fastest lap. There was an element of controversy regarding Verstappen clinching pole as he was reprimanded following an incident involving McLaren's Lando Norris during the final session, but the Dutchman escaped punishment following a post-qualifying investigation. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start second on the grid. Elsewhere, and in rugby union, Sale Sharks have moved to the top of the Premiership standings after coming from behind to beat defending champions Leicester Tigers 26-16 at Welford Road. The Tigers had been 16-12 up at the break, but Sale rallied and scored 14 unanswered points in the second half to record their 4th win from as many matches at the start of the season. The defeat leaves Leicester 7th, as in the day's other game, Gloucester moved up to 6th by virtue of their 21 points to 17 victory away at Bath, who remain at the foot of the table after losing all 5 of their matches to date. Finally, in horse racing, Frankie Dettori steered Chaldine to victory in the Dewhurst Stakes at Newmarket on Saturday afternoon, marking Chaldine out as the star 2-year-old of the flat season. Chaldine led early on in the Group 1 showpiece and held on for victory despite a stern challenge from Royal Scotsman late on. Chaldine was the 5-2 joint favourite heading into the race, and she has now been marked out as one of the leading contenders for the 2,000 guineas next May. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sport headlines. I'm Tom McGarry, and we begin with football, as there were 5 matches taking place in the Premier League across Saturday. Manchester City were involved in one of those, and they have moved to the top of the standings on a temporary basis at least, after securing a 4-0 victory over Southampton at the Etihad. Erling Haaland, of course, was amongst the goal scorers, although the Norwegian only netted once in this contest. There was also a big victory for Newcastle, who thrashed Brentford by 5-1. Bruno Guimaraes scored a brace for the Magpies. Chelsea were 3-0 winners at home to managerless Wolves, whilst Bournemouth ramped up the pressure on Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers as the Cherries came from behind to beat Leicester 2-1 at the Vitality Stadium. In the late kick-off, Harry Kane's first half goal was enough to see Tottenham win 1-0 away at Brighton. Elsewhere, and in Formula 1, Max Verstappen is in prime position to secure a second world title at Sunday's Japanese Grand Prix after clinching pole during qualifying in Suzuka. The Red Bull driver will seal the Drivers' Championship crown if he claims race victory at Suzuka Circuit alongside setting the fastest lap. There was an element of controversy regarding Verstappen clinching pole, as he was reprimanded following an incident involving McLaren's Lando Norris during the final session, but the Dutchman escaped punishment following a post-qualifying investigation. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start second on the grid. Elsewhere, and in rugby union, Sale Sharks have moved to the top of the Premiership standings after coming from behind to beat defending champions Leicester Tigers 26-16 at Welford Road. The Tigers had been 16-12 up at the break, but Sale rallied and scored 14 unanswered points in the second half to record their 4th win from as many matches at the start of the season. The defeat leaves Leicester 7th, as in the day's other game, Gloucester moved up to 6th by virtue of their 21 points to 17 victory away at Bath, who remain at the foot of the table after losing all 5 of their matches to date. Finally, in horse racing, Frankie Dettori steered Chaldine to victory in the Dewhurst Stakes at Newmarket on Saturday afternoon, marking Chaldine out as the star 2-year-old of the flat season. Chaldine led early on in the Group 1 showpiece and held on for victory despite a stern challenge from Royal Scotsman late on. Chaldine was the 5-2 joint favourite heading into the race, and she has now been marked out as one of the leading contenders for the 2,000 guineas next May. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sport headlines. I'm Tom McGarry, and we begin with football, as there were 5 matches taking place in the Premier League across Saturday. Manchester City were involved in one of those, and they have moved to the top of the standings on a temporary basis at least, after securing a 4-0 victory over Southampton at the Etihad. Erling Haaland, of course, was amongst the goal scorers, although the Norwegian only netted once in this contest. There was also a big victory for Newcastle, who thrashed Brentford by 5-1. Bruno Guimaraes scored a brace for the Magpies. Chelsea were 3-0 winners at home to managerless Wolves, whilst Bournemouth ramped up the pressure on Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers as the Cherries came from behind to beat Leicester 2-1.
Kick for the hosts, as Martinez, you can understand his frustrations because it does clearly come off the shoulder of Lewandowski.
Yeah, he was side by side there with the Inter Milan forward. mismatch in terms of height and physicality, but definitely Martinez has every right to be appealing that one. Official's first decision of the night has gone the wrong way.
Busquets finds Garcia, who will spread it towards the right-hand side in Rafinha, who looks up for support. Will find it in the form of Sergio Busquets. Now with Gavi, drop of the shoulder, crosses the area, intending for Lewandowski, headed away by Skriniar. Busquets with the flick will find Ousmane Dembele under pressure from Denzel Dumfries. It's good dribbling though by Dembele, then he's bundled over by the Dutchman, and then Dembele will win the free kick and take it quickly as well. Finding Gavi, now with Lewandowski on the left-hand side. They probably want him to be a bit more central, Barcelona. They're really in danger of possibly going out for the second consecutive time in the group stage of the Champions League. It'll be the first time since 1998 since that's happened, as Rafinha's cross into the area goes out of play for a goal kick. Do you see Barcelona being able to overturn this deficit over the course of the group stage and being able to qualify?
Yeah, I can see them getting a result tonight, which puts them really back in the race to finish in one of the top two spots. It is looking very likely, isn't it, that Bayern Munich are going to sweep to first place, and it's then a battle between Inter and Barca for that second spot, trying to earn a better result tonight than the one they lost by at the San Siro a week ago. And then maybe comes down to goal difference as to what you do against Pilsen, home and away, who can score the more goals against them.
As the flick on by Dzeko didn't find Martinez, Mkhitaryan finds DiMarco back towards the Turkish midfielder in Çalhanoğlu. DiMarco, ball over the top, will try and find Mkhitaryan, well dealt with. And then Gavi loses out, Barella, little 1-2 with Dzeko. Inter Milan looking dangerous whenever they have possession, but they're struggling to find the gaps, and that pass by Barella is poor, going straight out for a throw-in for Barcelona. Still no goals in any of the other 8 o'clock kickoffs in the Champions League. We'll keep you up to date on all goals that go in those games. Those fixtures being Leverkusen versus Porto, Pilsen versus Bayern Munich, Rangers versus Liverpool, Sporting versus Marseille, and Tottenham versus Eintracht Frankfurt. Here's PK for the hosts. We'll spread it towards the left-hand side in Marcus Alonso, finding Gavi. Not much in the way of support. Finds Lewandowski under pressure from Stefan de Vrij. Now with Gavi once more, back towards Alonso, holding on to possession but not really cutting through this Inter Milan midfield or defence at this moment in time, as Pedri finds Busquets. His pass comes off of the referees, will have to be brought back. Not really much the ref could do about that. I mean, Barcelona, they're so good at holding on to possession, but they're not really showing much in the way of an attacking intensity to break through this Inter Milan defence.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the difficulty tonight. The best we've seen from them so far is when they've done what they've done now, got it out to Rafinha. He swung a few teasing balls in.
And it almost fell kindly to Gavi. His cross took a big deflection, and I think it's a mixture of Skriniar and de Vrij that managed to put off Gavi for his header, and it's easily gathered by Angele Onana. We have our first goal in the Champions League as Leverkusen 0, Porto 1. Galeno getting the goal there, which means as it currently stands, Porto would leapfrog Atletico Madrid into second place, 4 points behind the surprise leader, Club Brugge, in that one. As we have a throw-in for Inter Milan on this far right-hand side. Milan Skriniar, the man coming over to take. Finding Çalhanoğlu back towards Skriniar. Rather fortuitously finds Barella. He'll get away from Busquets. Now with Dumfries. Away from Alonso. Martinez, that's a lovely drop of the shoulder. Dzeko will find Martinez again as an opportunity for Inter Milan. Martinez trying to get a shot away into the side netting. Not a bad effort at all by the Argentine. Had it open up in front of him. Didn't have the pace to get away from a PK with too much ease. Had to take the shot relatively early. In the end, it goes wide of ter Stegen's goal.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there was an offside there. They seem to have restarted from a free kick sort of midway through their own half, but it was sort of old school centre forward play, wasn't it? Two up at the top, let that ball run across to your strike partner, peel away off the shoulder of the defender looking for the return ball, and understanding between Martinez and Dzeko really good in that situation. Martinez in the end I think just forced a bit wide by the pressure from PK, a couple of tugs at his shirt and then angle against him as he tried to fire that shot away. But a big warning for Barca there. We know that they like to play the high line. Martinez has a ton of pace available to him, but we see it again now. it was Checo who was offside when that ball was allowed to run through to him, so wouldn't have counted. But Barca have got to be careful of that.
Well, they've got a corner themselves here on the far left-hand side. Dembele's delivery, Piqué's head, I think, took a deflection off of Skriniar in the middle. Will be another corner kick for the host. Piqué in the right position. He's probably the main target for Barcelona. Lovely delivery by Dembele. Was able to find the intended target that time around, but Rafinha will take the corner kick this time. His delivery is deep. The header in at the back post, cleared off the line by Mkhitaryan. Right place at the right time there from the Armenian. Çalhanoğlu finds Demarco. It's a lovely pass by him, trying to find Barella. Maybe just squirms away from him. Good tracking back by Dembele, and it'll come off Barella last and go out for a throw-in. Good defending, but really good play by Mkhitaryan as well for Inter Milan.
Yeah, it was a nice counter-attack, wasn't it, from Inter Milan, and they'll need to do that as often as they can tonight. When they do get the ball, move it quickly, try and expose those spaces that Barcelona always seem to leave. Fullbacks get advanced up the pitch, and that leaves big gaping holes for the opponents to try and take advantage of. But as we saw there with Dembele, you've got to do it quickly, because one mistake, one errant pass, and straight away someone's on top of you.
Here's Lewandowski trying to put the ball in towards Gavi. It's blocked and turned away again by Çalhanoğlu this time. Piqué's header, well defended by Skriniar. Now with Barella to bring this ball further up the field. Well tackled by the retreating Pedri. Gavi, 1-2 with Dembele. Goes back towards Sergio Busquets. Now with Dembele with a little bit of space. Away from Skriniar, trying to find Sergio Busquets. A really poor pass by the Frenchman. Then Mkhitaryan does too much. Lewandowski. Now with Rafinha, looks to go for goal from long range. Not a bad effort, not sure if it took a deflection. It goes over, it did take a deflection. It will be a corner kick, and well, he's got such a dangerous left boot. Rafinha was offered maybe too much space there by the Inter Milan defence.
It's really come to life, hasn't it? Last couple of minutes, it was a little bit slow and tentative early on, but just looking back at raft of chances, that Lewandowski header from the corner was cleared off the line. That chance for Rafinha as well. Low corner here, taken quickly, and there was a coming together in the box. Going to go down as an Inter Milan free kick rather than a penalty. Feels maybe the decision should be going the other way, but referee Simon Marciniak, the Polish official tonight, felt it was Marcos Alonso the aggressor in that situation. Sure, you know, they both got arms on one another, but for me, Alonso steps in front of the defender, and then that's his legs taken from him.
It's a hard one. For me, I'm thinking it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't think there's one major perpetrator. Could have easily gone either way. I think in that sort of situation, it's normally the defender that gets the benefit of the doubt. As Barcelona try and come forward, that's a poor pass by Busquets. Now Barella has an opportunity to bring this further up the field. And there has been a goal in the other game in this group. Bayern Munich have taken the lead against Pilsen via Sadio Mane. As Dumfries gets across him, blocked by Alonso. Then he runs into traffic. Poor play by the Spaniard there. Opportunity, Çalhanoğlu, ball into the area, trying to find Demarco. It's overhit, and it will be picked up at the back post by Mkhitaryan. But poor play by Marcos Alonso there to invite pressure again.
Yeah, they've got to be better in those areas, haven't they? Mentioned earlier on the threat that Inter Milan will pose on the flanks, with both Demarco and Dumfries getting forwards. We've seen Barella coming forward down that right-hand side at times as well, and dropping into those wider channels. So the full-backs for Barcelona, when they are back there inside their own half, they can't afford to give too much room. They've got to be switched on and make sure they're fully focused.
Here's Denzel Dumfries finding Çalhanoğlu. Back towards Skriniar as Barcelona try and press further up the field, but Inter Milan getting more and more of the possession. More dangerous for it as Skriniar's pass takes a wicked deflection off of Pedri. It goes out for a throw-in for the Italians on that far right-hand side. See the television images just focusing in on Simone Inzaghi. I mean, on opening 12 minutes, it's hard to say who the happier manager is, but you'd probably say it would be Inzaghi.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Barcelona have probably had the better chances. Think back to that Lewandowski one from the corner, especially the header cleared off the line. The one deflected over as well from Rafinha, and a couple of crosses into the box too. But Inter Milan will take a draw tonight if that's the way it ends up. Still keeps them in the driving seat for that second spot. Barcelona are playing catch-up in the final two games. And they'll need periods in the match, I think, Inter, where they just look to slow it down and have the ball themselves. But so far, so good.
Martinez almost managed to keep that ball in play for the attack. It has gone out, though, for a goal kick, which is taken quickly and short by Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Garcia finding Sergio Busquets, support to his left, utilises him in the form of Marcos Alonso. Now with Dembele, away from Dumfries, not really being pressurised by any man in white, but will go further back all the same. Here's Garcia, lovely pass, trying to find Pedri, squirmed off his boot and then hit the knees of Milan Skriniar before going out of play for another corner kick. It's a lovely delivery into the area. Pedri just bounces over his boot, and I think that actually puts off Skriniar.
Yeah, I have to say, we had a fantastic view of that, the camera angle, and didn't spot the run, didn't see the ball was on. Garcia clearly did, and found his teammate perfectly, as you say, just a swipe at the ball, really. Miscontrol, they got the corner, they've just won a second subsequent one, the initial delivery clear behind again, so they stay on the front foot. But if your centre-backs can deliver passes like that, just shows the quality Barcelona have got.
As the ball put into the area is headed away well by Edin Dzeko. Now with Ousmane Dembele, Bayern Munich already 2-0 up against Victoria Pilsen. They really are already running away with it. Thomas Müller getting the second goal there. Here's Pedri, held up by Bastoni, back towards Sergio Roberto. Now with Garcia, finding Alonso. So we'll look for some support. Gets it in the form of Gavi. Now with Piqué. Piqué finding Gavi once more. Pass from Alonso is once again intercepted. And there's a foul by Gavi on Denzel Dumfries. That'll be a free kick, and well, Inter will just already, I'm assuming, would run down the clock and try and waste as many valuable seconds as possible.
Yeah, they'd be stupid not to, wouldn't they, really? Very early in the match, as you say, really, to be employing those types of tactics, but any opportunity that does provide itself, maybe nick a second here or there, they all add up as it goes on.
Here's Dumfries again going down under contact, this time from Ousmane Dembele. That's going to be another free kick. Dumfries rolling around on the deck, clutching the back of what I believe is his left thigh. I'm not sure if it's his hamstring. It's being given maybe as a bit of a dead leg. As we're seeing a replay there, I think that is quite clearly a foul coming together. It's sloppy from Dembele because he doesn't really need to dive in there.
Yeah, it's a forwards challenge, isn't it? Coming back and just getting himself tangled in a situation that wasn't really necessarily there to be dealt with in that moment. Now they've got a free kick to defend. Looks as though Inter are ready to swing this one into the box.
And it will be Çalhanoğlu that will take it as well. Confirmed that Bayer Leverkusen have missed a penalty in their game at home to Porto. And Tottenham are 1-0 down to Frankfurt via a goal by Kamada as the ball's put into the area. Dzeko is taking the outside of the bar as it not going into the back of net. De Vrij tries to get on the end of it, and Ter Stegen's there to gather. I thought that ended up in the back of the net from Edin Dzeko. The goal line technology did not buzz, so it does remain goalless for going out play for a throw-in, but a matter of inches away from taking the lead there, Inter.
Yeah, the referee was very quick to wave his arms in a dismissive way towards the Inter players, letting them know, and again he's just pointed to his watch and crossed his arms in the air to say no, it hasn't crossed the line. The technology, as you say, hasn't indicated that. It looked so close, didn't it? Fantastic meeting of the ball between, fantastic way that he met the ball, Dzeko, as Barcelona just fired one over the bar now through Sergio Roberto. We might get a chance to look back at it, but he found himself in far too much space, really, for Barcelona's liking. 6 yards out, right bang in the middle of goal. Here we go again. It may be offside by a foot, but anyway, just gets there with the right foot, comes down onto the line, and yeah, Ter Stegen well beaten. Yeah, clearly comes out, doesn't it, and away from goal. So unlucky. Then there was a sort of swing and miss as well, wasn't there, with a follow-up that Ter Stegen had to come and deal with too.
Yes, but a matter of inches there, and Inter Milan once again come forward, the wind's in their sails. As there's another goal in the Champions League to tell you about after this attack as Barella will be put under pressure by a mixture of Alonso and Piqué's cross is blocked by Alonso, out for a throw-in. It's maybe a bit of a shot goal. Rangers have taken the lead at home to Liverpool. Scott Arfield getting the goal there. So Liverpool's miserable season continues. And they're behind against the bottom of the table Rangers in their group. That's the first goal they've actually scored in the Champions League this campaign. As the ball is flicked on by Dzeko, unable to find a man in white. Clearance is made. Lewandowski will try and utilise his strength to hold off De Vrij. Does so, then goes down looking for a free kick. Isn't going to win anything, and the loyal Barcelona fans immediately bark at the referee, frustrated that it hasn't gone their star striker's way. It did seem like he was looking for it, Lewandowski, that foul, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a foul.
Yeah, I mean, it's a foul for me. The more you look at it, there was lots of arms over his shoulder there. That's not to say Lewandowski isn't also wrapping his arm around a little bit. Strikers do that, but I think the aggression was coming more from the other side. A couple of bites at him, and eventually they had to settle for the throw-in. I think the referee, for the most part, has done a decent job. Not sure why the Barcelona fans will be too frustrated at the moment, apart from the fact that it's still 0-0. They haven't managed to get their noses in front. Maybe it's the tension that's getting the better of them, but it hasn't been a load of decisions going against them to this point.
Pedri finds Rafinha, who looks to try and put a ball into the area. Not a bad delivery, but easily headed away by De Vrij. Gavi then loses out to Barella. No foul, but it will still be with Marcos Alonso. He floats it towards the back post. DeMarco's there to intercept, trying to find Dzeko. Well found is Garcia. Rafinha looks for support, sees it in the form of Sergio Busquets. Gives it back to the Brazilian. Rafinha now with Busquets towards Alonso. It's slightly too far ahead of him and behind Dembele. Alonso will mop up though. Much in the way of movements, forced backwards towards Gerard Piqué. They're just happy to hold on to possession, Barcelona, but not making much in the way of headway going forward. Busquets is better. Pedri outside the boot pass towards Lewandowski, who tries to skip away from Bastoni. Will still hold on to it. Lewandowski runs maybe too much into traffic. Can't find Sergio Roberto. Easily gathered by Andre Onana.
Yeah, just trying to have ideas once they got into the box there. Barcelona kind of bounced off the boot in the end and threw into the hands of goalkeeper Onana. Didn't have to do too much in that situation. Look again at the chance at the other end for Edin Dzeko. Ball is barely on the line, really. In the grand scheme of things, it's not ever close to being recorded as a goal. It has to go down as the best chance of the game so far.
Yes, there's a few things to talk about in the game between Sporting and Marseille. Ricardo Esgao has had a few minutes to forget. He's picked up 2 yellow cards in the space of 3 minutes, and it looks like that second yellow card also gave away a penalty, which has been converted. So Esgao has been sent off for Sporting, and former Arsenal man Matteo Guendouzi has scored the penalty for the French side to give them the lead in Lisbon. As there's an offside decision, I think, for Barcelona to take this free kick from. And Alonso brings this ball forward to find support in his left in the form of Lewandowski. Cut away from Milan Skriniar, utilises his strength, and it's going to be brought back here. I think Skriniar having a few words in his ear. Dembele frustrated with him as well, and they're just trying to calm down a few players. Dembele also trying to have a word in the referee's ear. Looked like that Skriniar was going unnecessarily hard into Lewandowski, but Dembele still, I think, has completely lost the plot there, Bobby.
Yeah, he's come across to try and defend his teammate for some reason. Lewandowski definitely doesn't need any defending in that area. He's big enough and strong enough to deal with it himself. There's just been a handshake between Lewandowski and Skriniar in the background as well, and that's all sorted out. But you know what, there was probably a foul there, but Lewandowski is engaging the contact as much as Skriniar is giving it. He rolls the ball away, he stops, he comes back, leans in with the shoulder. He wants that battle. He's trying to get in the hair, really, of Skriniar. Then there was a coming together off the ball. There was lots going on, but I don't think that initial incident actually had much about it, to be honest. It's all flared up, and again, I think it comes back to what I said before. Barcelona just seem really vented up with frustration tonight, the players and the fans. Now, I think part of the reason why they're maybe not creating chances, they seem to be playing with too much urgency. They're trying to get forward so quickly. They're trying to do everything really sharply, and they're almost overdoing it, overthinking it once they get to that final third. And it's just going against them at the moment. Long way to go still.
Yes, there is, as this free kick is taken by Rafinha. Not the greatest of deliveries. Lewandowski's looping header goes comfortably wide of the right-hand post of Andre Onana. It wasn't the greatest of deliveries that by Rafinha. Didn't give much for Lewandowski to work with.
No, he didn't. He's kind of coming back and away from Lewandowski in the end. He's having to halt his run and then arc the neck back to try and get around the ball. It's so difficult to generate any power, never mind get the direction, and it all ended up going wrong there. Such a good target, man. If the delivery's right, he'll normally make it count.
Heung-min Son have given Tottenham the equaliser at home to Frankfurt in their Champions League game. In ours, it remains goalless though, and we have passed the halfway stage of this first half. It is Barcelona 0, Inter Milan 0, and it will be Bobby Jackson to take you through to half-time.
Thank you very much, Will. With Barcelona on the attack then, and Roberto coming forward from right back, finding Rafinha, who immediately has DeMarco on his heels, manages to turn and then looks to squeeze a ball onto the inside channel, but a combination of Inter Milan players have that dealt with, and DeMarco clears, then it coming together. It will lead to a Barcelona free kick. Busquets was just caught by what looked to be a slipping Martinez, but still brought Busquets down in the process, and the referee has given the free kick. Will has taken you through all of the scorelines in the Champions League so far, and this the only game of the 8 p.m. kickoffs that is yet to get a goal so far. So, and a match that probably offered a lot, hasn't quite yet delivered. Several of the games have well, in fact, 2 of the games appear to have had both teams scoring, as we'll bring you further updates in a moment. Rafinha swinging a ball into the box now, headed away. Comes out as far as Sergio Roberto on the halfway line, back out to Rafinha. Barcelona have been forced to retreat somewhat, and then the ball into the box goes all the way through into the hands of Onana. Liverpool, we can tell you, have equalised. Scott Arfield's opener has been cancelled out by Roberto Firmino, so both of the games involving the English sides tonight are now 1-1, with Tottenham pegging back Eintracht Frankfurt. Here come Inter Milan down the left-hand side, cross in, headed away by Garcia, and then the low drill shot comfortably saved by ter Stegen to his right-hand side. Henrik Mkhitaryan trying to beat the Barcelona #1 from range, but with no success.
No, it wasn't a bad effort at all by Mkhitaryan. It's one of those where, when a cross puts the area and cleared in that manner, you're always expecting the player to go for goal, and he tries to catch him out by going low towards the keeper's right-hand side, maybe through a crowd of players. Ter Stegen, I think, saw it early and made the save pretty comfortable.
Third goal for Bayern Munich away at Pilsen tonight. Goretzka, Thomas Muller and Sadio Mane on the score sheet, so comfortable win on the cards for the group toppers as it stands. It's Barcelona and Inter Milan who seemingly battling it out for second spot, and currently in the driving seat for that one. They'll take a draw tonight, and that's what they've currently got, 0-0. It's Dembele though trying to change it down the left. His low ball is half played, comes back to the Frenchman, who now glides across the edge of the box, to chop back onto his left. No, he will shoot, right foot's in, and Onana spilled and ended up putting it behind for the corner.
Yeah, rather comically, if I do say so. He saves it into the floor and it spoons up and hits him in the face before going out for a corner kick. Great play by Dembele, quick feet to create the opening. It's curling in towards that left-hand corner, but it's well saved by Onana.
His corner low at the near post, and cleared away by Inter, out for another corner. His deliveries have been a little bit mixed tonight. Mkhitaryan way that time round, getting there ahead of Eric Garcia. Rafinha will have another pop at this one. He's got the option to go short, decides not to, whips it again and headed away by Inter. Cleared at the second attempt, and now they can look to break downfield. Just lost the ball on the bounce there to Çalhanoğlu, and Barca will send it back to their goalkeeper ter Stegen via Pedri, who receives a return ball from his goalkeeper. They are top of La Liga at the moment, Barcelona. They've enjoyed a really good campaign after the summer additions made by Xavi. Seem to be heading back in the right direction, but just being competitive in the league is not good enough for Barca fans. They want success in the Champions League as well, and means getting wins on nights like this as Rafinha brings them another corner.
Yeah, Rafinha's done well on that right-hand side to draw tackles and draw deflections. It's just his deliveries have just been a little bit poor from the set pieces. His first one created probably the clearest opportunity for Barcelona, but he's now been sort of usurped from the corners as Dembele's come over to take instead.
He's going to take it right-footed as well. It's the outswinger, and again in to get the clearance away. Gavi is under pressure with the bouncing ball, and he's been robbed of it. He's carried forward now by Barella. He's got players left and right, opts to go to Dumfries, setting himself for the shot into the chest of ter Stegen, parried out, and Gavi then does manage to clear his lines. He was the one who lost it in the first instance, and well, they just seemed to delay that ball for maybe a little bit too long before releasing it to Dumfries. If they should have done a little bit better there, Inter.
Yeah, I think so, because Barella does really well to outmuscle Gavi and break forward. The pass isn't great for Dumfries. He has to wait for it to come across him, then catches it sweetly with a lot of power, but it's straight at ter Stegen. He just has to remain firm and remain strong in order to parry the ball away. But I thought the actual pass to set up Dumfries was poor from Barella, and I expect a bit better from him.
Lost at home this season, Barcelona, in all competitions. 4 wins and a draw, 4 in a row, so momentum is on their side, but so far tonight they haven't been able to find that break through the gap in the Inter Milan defence. Shots that Barca have had have been pretty much from range, outside the box. Inter well organised and compact as a defensive unit. So trying to pick the lock again now with Marcos Alonso. He's going to have a shot from range. Yeah, the same end product as to what we've seen all evening. The shots racking up, but Onana's not had to make too many saves.
No, Alonso there, we know he can hit them sweetly from his time at Chelsea. There, I think, was just offered so much space that he thought he might as well have a go. It probably wasn't the best option to utilise. And, well, Inter Milan, they've defended resolutely for the majority of this opening 28 minutes or so. For me, Barcelona, they've looked the most dangerous from set pieces rather than open play. Open play has been pretty smooth sailing for Inter Milan's point of view.
Trying to squeeze the ball through. It actually gets to the feet of Robert Lewandowski, but he's unable to react quickly enough. He was the intended target, but a deflection saw it roll through to the pole. He's a sharp shooter again now, and his first touch was just trying to take it back across the defender, Skriniar. It was smart stuff from the Inter Milan man. Actually, it was De Vrij, sorry, rather than Skriniar. Central of that back three for Inter. Ball won in midfield by Busquets, comes across to the right hand side for Roberto. And back to Busquets, the skipper, who played alongside Xavi for so many years, now playing under, and who manages Barcelona and has got Champions League winners' medals to his name. Barca from range, it's spilt. Lewandowski can't get there with a clean attempt, and Onana's able to smother.
Yeah, just about. Really tantalising effort that by Sergio Roberto. Plenty of power behind it. Onana is actually down on the deck as well after, I think, pick up an injury from the rebound from Lewandowski. Could have gone to his right, decided to go straight on. I think there might be an element of swerve/knuckle on the shot from Sergio Roberto, which makes it move more in the air, and Onana can't quite read the flight as well as he would have liked. Did well to recover and make the return save. But in Barcelona, they're knocking on the door. They're asking more questions.
Getting closer to breaking the deadlock in this one. There have been further goals elsewhere, and I tell you that Tottenham have completely turned it around now at home against Eintracht Frankfurt. Harry Kane scoring a penalty to put Spurs 2-1 ahead, and with that they're climbing to the top of Group D. They'll be moving ahead of both Sporting Lisbon and Eintracht Frankfurt in a group that's extremely tight as it stands. All four sides still capable of reaching the knockout phase over the course of the next 2.5 games that we pretty much have. Just 15 minutes left of the first half of this match this evening. Looks as though Onana maybe caught one on the legs when Lewandowski slid through to try and meet that bouncing ball. It appeared to be the firmest of contacts, but as we alluded to earlier, expecting to, when there is a chance for a break in play, to make the most of it. We've seen Neymar in the crowd watching on tonight, sat alongside Hector Bellerin. And former Barcelona players, Bellerin of course nowadays at Real Betis and Neymar with PSG, but the Barcelona and big Champions League nights is enough to get some of those former players back and watching the action unfold. As Rafinha has his side throw-in now. In fact, there's debate from both managers as to which way this should go, and it appears that Simone Inzaghi is convinced enough over Xavi, so it's going to be Inter's restart. Sure what the referee is trying to indicate here with 4 fingers up, but the game will get back underway. DeMarco is going to be the one to restart for us. Just 5 yards or so inside Barcelona territory. It's for the switch of play. There was no one there though, and Alonso can bring it down on the thigh, but then takes too long on it. His clearance is deflected and out for a throw-in. And they have got to be nervy at the back tonight, Barcelona, at times.
I think in particular Alonso's looked nervous for me. He's dallied on possession a number of occasions, invited Inter Milan players to come and put the press on him to try and nip the ball away from him at the last moment. I think at the moment for me he's probably been a bit of the weak link in this Barcelona defence, and all the errors that seem to be coming that are allowing Inter to maybe capitalise on the attacks, maybe defensive shortcomings of Barcelona seems to be coming on his side.
Busquets back now to PK, across to Alonso, position he much prefers in opposition territory. And Bellet beaten to the ball by Skriniar. Well, the last touch came off the Frenchman. Barcelona trying to argue otherwise, and again we're left a little bit uncertain as to which way this one's going to go. Might have gone off Skriniar onto Dembele. Looking at the replay, and that's the way that the call has gone. So the skipper for Inter, Milan Skriniar, has the ball in hand. 33.5 minutes gone. Barcelona 0, Inter Milan 0. Independent off-tube studio commentary. We've got further goal elsewhere as 10-man Sporting Lisbon have now fallen 2-0 down at home to Marseille. Could be a long night for the Portuguese outfitters. Pedri comes forward now for Barcelona. Looks to roll it into the box. Couldn't pick out Lewandowski. Clearance is convincing from Inter Milan. Gavi then comes together with Barella, and decision's gone against the Barcelona youngster. It's a free kick chance for Inter to clear their lines. Ball had just been lost a little bit in the air. It's Dembele who's given the free kick away, a needless push in the back.
Yeah, so Gary was frustrated the decision went against him. I don't think he realised it was Dembele that actually gave away the foul, not him, but it was really, really silly and cynical from Ousmane Dembele, and it's a gift of a free kick for Inter Milan. Incidentally, just so you know, the second goal from Marseille came from another former Arsenal man in the form of Alexis Sanchez.
Throw in here now in Barcelona territory. Checo dispossessed as he tried to come forward. Go down as a free kick here, stepping across the path of the former Manchester City striker. So it is a free kick just inside Barcelona's half of the field. Wide on the left, and it's swept across to the right, looking for the head of Dumfries, who rises well, but rose a little bit too early. Beyond him and for a throw on the far side. Alonso with the man to get us going from there. Equalising goal in Germany by Leverkusen 1, FC Porto 1, and equalising goal has come from Amin Adil to cancel out that opener from Porto, and Bayern Munich have gone and got themselves a fourth. Leon Goretzka with his second of the night, scoring 2 in the space of 10 minutes to further demonstrate their dominance on that tie this evening. It's flying in all over the place, but not Catalan capital at the moment. Still 0-0 between Barcelona and Inter Milan. Take some comfort from the fact that they've won all 5 previous home ties against Inter Milan in European competition. They've managed to keep 4 clean sheets in those games as well. Another one tonight if possible, but they need to go and get the breakthrough at the other end to give themselves something to protect. And Dembele is on the ball now, squeezes a reverse ball through to Lewandowski, but he now delivers far post. Rafinha with the shot, it's gone wide and put it rather awkwardly and didn't get a clean connection.
No, he didn't at all. It was a really lovely cross in by Lewandowski on the left-hand side. I thought he was offside initially, but he was clearly played on by Bastoni and DeMarco. Falls kindly to Rafinha, and I think he just maybe loses the flight of it at the final moment, takes his eyes off it, scuffs his volley into the ground. If he hits it sweetly, I'm not entirely convinced that Onana's going to save it.
Just sucked under the ball there, the Inter Milan players all heading within the goal frame. Rafinha had stayed deep, and that's where the space was, and that's where the ball was delivered. Getting closer still at Barca, but can't find that breakthrough they desire. And they have got a free kick here, just on the halfway line. De Vrij nudging Gavi off the ball. They get on with it quickly. It's carried forward now by Garcia. Flick inside towards Pedri, further wide to the left with Gavi. He's got the overlapping run, but decides to cross instead. Fails to pick anyone out, and it's behind for the goal kick, and Xavi not best happy with that one. And that's vastly experienced in the Champions League. 4th most appearances in the group stage of this competition, Xavi, with 80. That will soon be, or a standing that will soon be taken from him, with Karim Benzema currently tied with him on that number. Frenchman, much a key figure still for Real Madrid, as Onana gets us back underway with a goal kick long downfield. So, flicks on by Lautaro Martinez, but no one in behind. Makes it easy enough for Gerard Piqué, who goes across to his compatriot Marcos Alonso. And back all the way to the goalkeeper, Ter Stegen now. Takes a touch, gets his head up, and spots Rafinha dropping in to offer himself. Lovely chest infield to pick out a teammate. Now carried forward by Sergio Busquets. Robert Lewandowski, actually, who dropped deep into midfield there, the Barcelona number 9, back out to Rafinha, into the channel for Lewandowski, looks to cut it back and into scramble it away for another corner.
Really well built up there by Barcelona, and the interplay between Lewandowski and Rafinha was a joy to watch at times. And like you mentioned there, that chest from Rafinha got so much power behind it to find his team. Actually came off at the point of the shoulder. Brilliant play, and then Lewandowski maybe does a little bit too much, could have given it back to the Brazilian, tried to squirm in across, but it was quite easily dealt with by the Inter Milan defence. But they're looking better and better going forward.
Time and time again, we're seeing Sergio Roberto get into those advanced areas just within the box, playing it right back, but likes to get forward as and when. It's actually gone down as a goal kick rather than a corner when it first looked to be that call, and replays seem to suggest it should have been. But here come Barcelona, they've won it back. It's carried by Pedri, and out to the left-hand side now with Dembele. Does have the overlapping run, instead comes back on his right foot, low shot, deflects, falls to Gavi, tries to prod it past the keeper, and Nana falls on it. And the keeper has it dealt with. I think Pedri is trying to appeal that maybe there was some sort of a foul on him there, as Piqué now has a high, difficult ball to deal with, but does really well. Has some help as well from Garcia.
Yeah, really well dealt with there by Piqué, and knew that he would have support in Garcia, trying to guide the header to his teammate so he could go back to his goalkeeper. Going back to the earlier chance, so I don't really see what Pedri's screaming for there. He's never going to win a penalty from that position. He beats Onana to the ball, yes, but Onana clearly makes the save, so I don't think the goalkeeper's done too much wrong there.
So we've come off DeMarco here, but Rafinha's going to keep it in just in case, and rolls it into the box. Sergio Roberto cross goal, and there is the opener. Ousmane Dembele slots in from just a yard out. It's his first goal in the Champions League this season, and Barcelona, who've really struggled to find those gaps in the box, finally do. It's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0.
Brilliant team move as well from Barcelona, and again it's Rafinha who's had a big part to play in it. Lovely play by the Brazilian on the right hand side to keep the ball in play. Saw the run of Sergio Roberto in front of him, and the cross from Roberto is sublime. He's put it in the perfect place, the corridor of uncertainty. No defender or keeper wants to go out to it, and it's the simplest of tap-ins for the Frenchman Ousmane Dembele. We're getting another replay here. I think it might have actually come off Rafinha last. That's why he's worked so hard to keep the ball in play. Brilliant pass. Mkhitaryan's caught sleeping, and I think the rest of the defences as well. They don't get anywhere near Ousmane Dembele, and he won't have a simpler finish than that.
Spoke about it before with Sergio Roberto. Keeps taking up those positions on the inside of Rafinha, letting the Brazilian take the outside channel, get to the byline, and Roberto, unlike one of his predecessors, Dani Alves, who was always the wide man trying to get around the winger, he likes to go on the inside channel and popped up in the right pocket of space there to receive the ball, and eventually find Ousmane Dembele, who had the simplest of finishes. Elsewhere, by the way, Tottenham in a really good spot now. They're 3-1 up at home against Eintracht Frankfurt. Heung-min Son with his second of the night, as Inter tried to come straight back at the other end. They might have a chance through Martinez. He slips and has to roll it back then into midfield with Çalhanoğlu. He's been held up further by Pedri, and Barcelona have been able to get bodies back behind the ball. Whipped in low towards the edge of the box. Dzeko trying to tee it up for Martinez, but too quick to react was Gavi. And then Alonso gets a foot in, but hasn't cleared convincingly. Comes back and meets the bouncing ball, and Lewandowski has it at his feet. Looks to sweep the ball across the field. Far too much asked of Rafinha there as it goes through to Onana, but I think it's as much as Barcelona deserved. There's been two big chances really for Inter. The Dzeko one off the bar and a freeze one on the counter, but they seem a long time ago now. Barcelona have had their noses to the grindstone since then, working hard, and they've got their reward.
Yeah, they've looked the dominant outfit in the last 10-15 minutes or so. Inter Milan, we've barely seen them go into the attacking areas of the field, and well, that's down to Barcelona's intensity and how they've kept the ball, and they've limited Inter Milan to scraps at times. And well, since going ahead, Inter Milan did come forward briefly, but Barcelona completely deserve to be ahead, and well, with the way they're playing, they could easily get a second here with Dembele putting a ball into the area. It's flapped out by Onana.
Comes out to Rafinha now, who'll swing it back in, and it's just wide of the far post. Such a languid technique that he has, and I'm quite sure if it was a shot or a cross, but Onana off his line was an extremely nervous goalkeeper there.
Yes, such a cute effort by Rafinha. A scooped shot that was always curling, and it looked for a moment that it might curl into that top corner. I think he is intending this. I don't think it is a cross. It's a glorious effort. It's only a matter of inches wide.
He's had a couple of chances tonight. Not be far off getting himself his first goal in the Champions League. Scored one so far this season since making the move from Leeds United to Barcelona over the summer. That came in La Liga. We're expecting a little bit more in terms of output from him. Barcelona fans who had been maybe a little bit anxious and nervous earlier in the night at 0-0 said a few times that frustration appeared to be getting the better of them. Now they're on their feet, feeling it's party time already, but there's still a long way to go in this group stage. They are, as it stands, going to move ahead of Inter Milan into second place. Both clubs will be on 6 points, so if either can nick anything off Bayern Munich, which at the moment looks at a tall task, then that would put them in a very strong position with expected wins to come against Pilsen between now and the end of the group stage. Pilsen so far have scored 1, conceded 16 in pretty much halfway through match day 4 as they trail 4-0 to Bayern Munich tonight. But having got a response, I suppose Barcelona might well want to get in at half-time and refresh themselves, come out all guns are-blazing once again. Inter may well have to come up with a new approach to try and find a foothold in this one. They can no longer hope and pray that they're going to be able to hold on to a 0-0. They're going to have to come out and try and get on the score sheet.
Yeah, Simone Inzaghi is trying to get some more energy out of his players. It's, I think, falling somewhat on deaf ears at the moment. For Inter, it's just all about getting into half-time, still only at 1-0 down, because Barcelona, they are pressing. They're looking like they could easily get a second in this game. They're still by no means out of this Inter Milan. It is only a 1-goal game. They've got the players on the field that can easily get themselves back into this. They just need just a spell of possession, because Barcelona's just been so dominant on that front. It's just sapping the life out of them.
4 minutes we're going to have of additional time here as Barca find their way into the box again with Rafinha. Low cross comes in, scooped away there by De Vrij. Not cleared convincingly though. Mkhitaryan lays it back in towards Çalhanoğlu, who's gone all the way back to his own byline to find space. Does get the clearance away, but again it's straight back into Barca possession. Busquets was clearly caught late there into the free kick and seemed to be ready to make a bit of it until the whistle went. He's back to his feet and the free kick will be Barca's.
Busquets having a word is it from Edin Dzeko. I mean, I don't think there's too much contact, and Busquets, he does have that reputation of making a bit of a meal of tackles, but you know, he's back onto his feet. He knew he'd won the free kick, and now it's a decent position. Not really to go for goal for Rafinha, but he can definitely whip in a dangerous delivery from this area.
Seen some good deliveries from him so far tonight. Excuse me, with Lewandowski in the box and PK forwards as well. Busquets in and around there. It's a bit of height to try and aim for. And big gap in behind the Inter defence. And that's where it goes whipped towards the far post. Çalhanoğlu heads away. It's drilled back in. Cleared at the second attempt from Inter once more. And we've had a minute of the 4 additional as Rafinha miscontrols, and that's out for a throw-in. And that will give Inter a chance for a little bit of a release. We've got the first half-time of the 8 p.m. kickoffs. It's by Leverkusen 0, Porto 1. If you missed it earlier tonight, by the way, Atletico Madrid 0, Club Brugge 0, and Napoli 4, Ajax 2 were full-time results from the double-header early kick-off in the Champions League on this, the second round of fixtures on match day 4. And Inter Milan now coming forwards down the left-hand side. If they've got one more chance in then, maybe, before we get to the break. Dzeko rolling it down the line, can't quite find DeMarco. Comes back to Dzeko, who controls awkwardly, and then he's robbed of the ball by Rafinha, who's just overdone it a little bit. He's run it out for a corner.
Yeah, he's put his side in a worse position than they once were. He was just doing whatever he could to try and nip the ball away from Dzeko, and did well to do that, but in flicking it over the head of DeMarco, he's rather gifted a late corner kick here for Inter.
It's going to be an outswinger from DeMarco. Goes the one-armer's signal. It's deep to the far post. Ter Stegen appealing it went out before it came in, and the official on the far side agrees, so it will be a Barcelona goal kick, and one of the dangers of the outswinger.
Yeah, a real waste. I'm never a fan of outswinging corners from, basically just in general, considering you always run that risk of it going out before it comes back in, and it's just a real waste of a promising move when that happens. And yes, it was a good delivery by DeMarco, but it went out, so it doesn't really matter.
Almost done with 3 minutes of the 4 additional. Barcelona will be looking to try and control proceedings, manage the game in these final throes of the first half. So they get there with the noses in front, having worked so hard to get to this point, and maybe even grab a second as they get into the box, but slip there from Gavi, sees the ball go away from him. Alonso comes back to recover, but can only power it away and behind for an Inter Milan goal kick. And I suppose you posed the question almost midway through this first half as to who would be the happier manager. We suggested at that point maybe Simone Inzaghi. His side hadn't had to withstand too much pressure or been asked too many questions. I think it's flipped around.
Oh, definitely so. I think Simone Inzaghi now will be very frustrated with his players. The fact that his side haven't asked enough questions in the last 10, 15, 20 minutes or so. It's been all Barcelona, and it's been a training ground fixture at times. Xavi will be very happy from the response he's seen from his side and how they've grown into this game, because they didn't start well at all, Barcelona, and Inter Milan have suffered for being a little bit lackadaisical in that regard.
Busquets on the ball, but the whistle has gone for half-time. At the break, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0.
Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannoning off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannoning off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannoning off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannoning off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannoning off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannoning off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannoning off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannoning off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannoning off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across, I should say, into the danger area, and Dembele had the simplest of tap-ins to put it into an empty net. Inter Milan could have easily taken the lead earlier on in the game after the quarter of an hour. Free kick found Edin Dzeko, his effort cannon off the underside of the bar, but the goal line decision said it did not go in. Half-time, it's Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The goal coming at around the 40th minute of the game. Rafinha did really well to keep the ball in play, found Sergio Roberto in front of him, and he hammered a ball across.
We'll leave that there because we are underway for this second half between Barcelona and Inter Milan. 1-0 to the hosts after the first period of 45 minutes. The goal coming 5 minutes before the end of the first half via Usman.
That probably needed tending to, and one that he couldn't lie there for too long until treatment was handed over. The subs out there starting to warm up just in case as a precaution. They wouldn't want to lose him at this early stage of the second half, such a key figure in that back line, the captain as well, a leader. But it looks as though he's going to be all right. As you say, it's a winding that initially will take the wind out of your sails, but you go on and just have to regulate that breathing a little bit more. He'll get back to his normal self, and the word from the referee looks as though he's going to be all right. Big puff out of the chest, and it's all starting to feel a little bit more normal.
Yes, we'll have to go off for the meantime just to do some further checks before he's allowed back onto the field of play. So Inter Milan will have to play on for the time being with 10 men as Çalhanoğlu finds Bastoni, and now DiMarco will try and find support on the left-hand side. So joining through the lineups, if you did miss them earlier on, there's seemingly no hold of it, but did well to recycle possession, but it has now gone all the way back towards Gerard Piqué inside the centre circle. So for Barcelona, it's ter Stegen in goal, the back four of Alonso, Garcia, Piqué and Roberto, Pedri, Busquets and Gavi the midfield three, with Dembele and Rafinha playing either side of Robert Lewandowski up top. For Inter Milan, it's Onana in goal, Skriniar, De Vrij and Bastoni in the defence, Dumfries, Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan and DiMarco the midfield five, Martinez and Dzeko leading the line. Here's Pedri for Barcelona. We'll utilise Gavi to his left, has support in Dembele, will utilise him as well. Here is the Frenchman.
Into Barella. So
Mkhitaryan, back by Rafinha, who now finds support to his right in the form of Busquets, who looks to float it towards Lewandowski, who gets his head onto it. Piqué has support in Lewandowski, tried to play him in with the back heel, it goes past him all the way into the arms of Onana. Looks like there's another man down for Inter Milan. I think it was a Skriniar again in the wars. I think Piqué was always trying to find Lewandowski there when maybe he could have actually taken a shot on himself.
yeah, it's one of those situations where I think you want anyone but Gerard Piqué picking up the ball there. It was nicely headed down by Lewandowski, but then you needed someone with probably a little bit more creativity, quality to get it down, beat a man, create the space for a shot. He tried more intricate stuff back to goal, back heel it through for Lewandowski, and it was never really going to work there. The chance disappears in the end for Barcelona.
As Piqué loops it high into the air, header away by Roberto. Rafinha twists and turns but can only play in DeMarco. Then his pass comes off of Roberto once again. DeMarco takes the quick throw.
Deeper than everyone else in the first instance. It's his fault that Barella was able to make that run across, be onside, and he manages to sort of control first time on the thigh, half volley, then flicks it up and over to Stegen. But the experienced Gerard Piqué just leaves his team in all sorts of bother, really, and Inter Milan have maybe not quite deservedly got themselves on level terms.
They are back on level terms. Really poor play from Gerard Piqué, costing his side the lead there. And there is another goal as well in the Champions League to tell you about, as Porto are now 2-0 up against Bayer Leverkusen. Mehdi Taremi getting the goal for Porto there. So just running through the latest scores in the Champions League then. So it is Leverkusen 0, Porto 2, Victoria Pilsen 0, Bayern Munich 4, as Dembele is, I think, may have been shown a... has he been shown a yellow card? No, it might have been Dumfries has been booked there for the foul on Dembele instead. It's a Rangers 1, Liverpool 1, 10-man Sporting 0, Marseille 2, and Tottenham Hotspur 3, Frankfurt 1. So Dumfries, looking for all the while that he has been shown the yellow card there. First booking of the game. Here's Alonso towards Lewandowski. Now with Dembele. Cute ball into the area. Pedri's flick on, finding Lewandowski on the volley. It fell to him kindly, caught it sweetly, but it was always curling away from goal.
What a goal that would have been. Lovely little flick into the box for Gavi. Manages to, for Pedri rather, manages to just nudge it back into the path of Lewandowski, who, as you say, hits it really sweetly. Technique is fantastic. Gets over it with the knee, manages to strike through it really well. It's just the direction that lets him down, firing wide of that far post, but would have been the perfect response from Barcelona, who need to get back in front.
Martinez with a poked pass out wide towards Dumfries, and he'll try and bust a gut to get into the area. Dumfries tries to find Martinez. Credit to ter Stegen, who I think read what was going to happen from early on and immediately took himself off the line in order to gather the cross.
Yeah, Martinez bursting through the middle. He had the pace there to get behind the defenders, just needed the right ball.
Dembele will find Lewandowski, suddenly end-to-end this game. His cross, though, easily gathered by Andre Onana, and then he will just slow down proceedings and maybe hope to calm down the players. Çalhanoğlu goes back towards Dumfries. Under pressure from Lewandowski, has been bundled over by the Polish forward, and that will be a free kick for Inter Milan deep inside their own half. Looks like Lautaro Martinez has picked up a yellow card, maybe rather than Denzel Dumfries. As we're maybe seeing a replay. So Dumfries gave away the foul, so I think Martinez picks up the yellow for kicking the ball away.
Yeah, just rolled it away to slow the game down and prevent Barcelona from getting on with it quickly. The right call, I think, from Simon Marciniak. Don't mind that too much. It's a real hammer blow, isn't it, for Barcelona, conceding so early in this second half. They worked tirelessly in the first 45 just to get in front, had gone down the tunnel. Confidence high, they'd probably had a really rousing team talk from Xavi. Come out, just wanting to control the game, try and edge into a 2-0 lead if they can, and just a big mistake at the back from arguably their most experienced man on the pitch. They've seen them now back where they started and having to go all over again.
Yes, as it currently stands, they're going to have to somehow find a result against Bayern Munich. Realistically, it's going to have to be a win rather than a draw. They'll be 3 points behind Inter Milan. As it stands, it really is a must-win game for them. Liverpool have just taken the lead away from home against Rangers. That man again, Roberto Firmino, getting on the score sheet, having a decent season for Liverpool. He was actually becoming somewhat of a forgotten man for the Reds as Dumfries gets a cross in, blocked by Alonso. Gavi keeps it in from going out for a corner kick. Lewandowski can't get the flick on. There's a collision between De Vrij and Skriniar. Both players are okay. Onana under pressure from Dembele spreads it wide towards Mkhitaryan. Through ball, can't find DeMarco, who went down looking for a free kick. It's going to continue. That's a poor tackle by Stefan De Vrij, and now he himself will get a yellow card, and there's just a sense that this game might be beginning to get away from the referee.
Yeah, he's now gone into his pocket once, and I think rightly so, for a bit of dissent from Martinez in this one. Just an overstretch, isn't it? Back into the book once more, and expect those cards to keep flowing.
Alonso, the back heel by Pedri, can't find support in the form of Lewandowski. Martinez finds Barella under pressure, just about skipped away from Sergio Busquets. There could be an opportunity for Inter to break away, and there's space on this left-hand side for Federico Di Marco. Dzeko begging for it at the far post. Di Marco will aim forward, and Dzeko, here's a from the volley. What a wonderful bit of defensive play that is by the youngster Gavi. Busted a guy in order to get back into a defensive position and made a vitally important block.
Yeah, knows his responsibilities, doesn't he? Not just going forwards, but from a defensive standpoint too. And a crucial block, as you say, throws himself in the line of fire. Dzeko had wound himself up for that one. Makes a good connection, and I think he's probably going to test ter Stegen, if not beat him from that kind of range. That would have been a real hammer blow for Barcelona to go 2-1 down this early in the second half, but still a corner to deal with.
Hakan Çalhanoğlu to take this corner kick. Delivery in, comes off of Martinez, comes back towards the Turk, and he'll go for goal, and it almost beats ter Stegen at his near post. Almost caught out the German shotstopper, at least from the angle that we had. It looked that it squirmed through the arms of the number one.
Yeah, I think he was caught a little bit by surprise. You kind of expected him there maybe to whip that ball into the box, but he just bends it towards the near post. Real power on it. Just taking a cross and didn't feel confident to hold it and catch it, so double-handed parry away and behind for the corner.
Another corner kick, Çalhanoğlu's delivery. The header comes in. That's another brilliant save by ter Stegen. Then Martinez on the follow-up hammers it wide of the mark. It was Skriniar rising highest, planting his header downwards, but he could not quite beat ter Stegen. Really good save by the German.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's regarded as one of the best in the world, and it saves like that at crucial moments such as that. Down at his near post quickly, good strong hand to it, and able to turn it away out the danger. Martinez unable to follow up from a tight angle, trying to take advantage of the keeper on the floor and spins it behind.
Lewandowski trying to set off Rafinha. It's a poor pass though by the pole. Di Marco, Mkhitaryan tackled by Busquets. Lewandowski will pick it up once more, has support on the edge of the area. Zed tries to float it in towards Pedri. It wasn't a good cross, it was the wrong idea for me from Lewandowski. Should have gone short towards the edge, instead trying to force the issue. The clearance by Dumfries is poor though. Here's Gavi, turns away from the Dutchman. Pedri will now find Alonso. Back towards Pedri once more, has people to support in the area, won't put a cross in, slows down the tempo. Back with Alonso. Pedri away from Martinez. Lovely dribbling by Pedri, gets a shot away. It's a really weak effort though, and it's a comfortable save from Onana.
Yeah, it just needed someone, didn't it, to grab the game by the scruff of the neck there, inject a bit of something into it. And it was a really fine run into the box from the youngster Pedri. Dropped the shoulder to suggest he was going to go back out down the line, and then makes his way infield, glides so well beyond challenges, and just the shot I think was a little bit telegraphed, easy enough at the near post for Onana to get down and make the save.
As we're seeing another replay of that chance, it actually came off the shoulder of Piqué in the end after Skriniar got a glance to it. Really good goalkeeping by Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who ever since picking up the number one shirt at Barcelona never looked likely to relinquish it. He's managed to bat off all potential rivals to his jersey. as Pedri gets away from Çalhanoğlu, twists, turns, it's good dribbling. Gavi will try and put a ball into the area, well dealt with by Skriniar. Inter Milan being forced to defend deeper and deeper inside their own half. Alonso gets away from Barella, now with Pedri, Busquets, Garcia to Rafinha, now with Dembele, away from De Vrij, tries to get a cross in, will find Gavi once more. He gets another delivery into the area, headed away by Bastoni, and Dzeko's there to win possession, and then DeMarco will just try and make the clearance. It's blocked by Rafinha, and he's kept it in play as well, and he's found Dembele with the dummy, try lay it off for Lewandowski, cleared away again. The attack still on for Barcelona. Rafinha, who's looked really dangerous in this game, decent delivery in, headed away by Skriniar, kneed away by Bastoni. Alonso brings it down. Inter Milan can barely get out of their own area, let alone their own half. Rafinha into the area once more. That's a poorer delivery, easily gathered by Onana.
Yeah, looks as though they're going to make a change as well in a moment, Barcelona, because they're really turning the screw, and Xavi just wants to keep that pressure on, keep the opposition on the back foot, and maintain the press in that final third. As you said, they just can't get out of their own final third at the moment. Inter, eventually, you'd imagine that's going to provide a little bit of mental fatigue, physical fatigue along with it as well.
Piqué's been beaten to it by Dumfries. Opportunity for Inter Milan. Dumfries trying to pick it across towards Martinez. Really well defended by Garcia. Could have gone for goal, Dumfries. Decided to try and cut it back, but it was well defended by the former Manchester City defender.
Comeback might be on in the game between Pilsen and Bayern Munich. Pilsen have got one. It's Pilsen 1, Bayern Munich 4. But again, looking back at this attack for Inter Milan, it's Piqué who makes the mistake. He's in the latter stage of his career, and maybe he's becoming a bit of a liability for Barcelona. Andreas Christensen and Ronald Araujo, Jules Koundé, all out injured at the moment. Those three arguably get ahead of the centre-back, the veteran centre-back in this lineup if they're fit.
Çalhanoğlu with the delivery, flicked away by Garcia. Really is an enticing encounter at this moment in time. So, just to keep you updated with other goings on in the other games, we have an opportunity though here for Inter Milan as Martinez finds Çalhanoğlu. His cross is poor, easily cut out by Alonso, and it will be turned away by the Barcelona defence. It's still Tottenham 3, Frankfurt 1, but Frankfurt are down to 10 men. Tuta picking up 2 yellow cards in a matter of minutes, as Rafinha almost gets there in front of Onana. Confirmed was Vicanova that got the goal for Pilsen against Bayern Munich, and Porto now 3-0 up against Leverkusen. Mehdi Taremi getting his second penalty of the game. Sporting incidentally are also down to 9 men in their game against Marseille, and it looks like Pedro Gonçalves picks up a yellow card for a foul, and then another yellow card instantaneously for dissent. So that is 2 red cards now for Sporting, as Barella finds Dumfries to his right, as man watching him in the form of Marcos Alonso. Back with Barella. Çalhanoğlu spreads it towards the left-hand side in Bastoni. Definitely more of an even feel to this game. Both sides having spells of possession and pressure. It's evenly poised at one apiece. Martinez away from Garcia. DeMarco towards the run of Bastoni. His cross well blocked by Piqué, who read it all the way and turned away by Gavi. And Rafinha away from DeMarco. Busquets looks for support, tries to hammer across the pass towards Dembele, easily dealt with by Barella, who read that from early on. Dumfries will keep the ball in play, back towards Barella. The game is really stretched, struggling to get back into a defensive position at the moment, Barcelona. They've done well to tackle Dumfries, who was frustrated with the lack of options. The pass by Busquets is poor, easily cut out by Çalhanoğlu. There's a 3-on-3 here. Çalhanoğlu tries to find Martinez. If he knocks it down, Dzeko being a bit of space. Martinez gets away from one, will get a shot away, and it's off both posts and in. What a finish that is by Lautaro Martinez, and the game has been completely turned on its head. Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 2, an advantage to the Italians.
Yeah, I think for me another defensive error here. This time it's Eric Garcia. He just watches this ball go over his head, and I think instead of trying to close the gap to Martinez, he thinks, I'm going to stop, I'm going to turn and face and give him a yard, and then I'll put the challenge in. But Martinez just controls it really well. Little drop of the shoulder, gets inside, and then rifles the shot away off both posts before finding the back of the net. See it again now. Yeah, agonisingly rolls across the line, and Ter Stegen just can't get across quickly enough. But we see it now. he just doesn't react quickly enough. Lautaro Martinez with the chest down, and then before you know it, he's away from the defender and unleashing the shot. His first goal in the Champions League this season, and he's got Inter Milan ahead.
It's a wonderful finish by the Argentine. Did so well to get away from Eric Garcia there, and there's absolutely nothing that ter Stegen could do to make a save on that one, as the camera's just focusing in on the referee. I wonder if there's maybe a chance of a VAR check. Doesn't look like it. Looks like instead that there's a change, and Rafinha very frustrated that he has been brought off. And well, I can understand his arguments, because he seemed to be one of the better players on the field for Barcelona.
Yeah, I think both wingers have performed well, to be fair. Dembele and Rafinha have both played their part tonight, both coming in from those wide areas, getting shots away. Rafinha, of course, in the first half, almost got himself on the score sheet as Inter come forward again.
And it could be bad to worse for Barcelona, as Dzeko breaks forward, takes on Garcia. Only Martinez in support in the area, so we'll have to come back. The flick on by Martinez won't find DiMarco. The clearance is eventually made by Garcia. So just in regards to one of the changes that has been confirmed, actually both changes now. Fati's replaced Rafinha as the cross is put in, turned away by Alonso. Çalhanoğlu's there again. So Ansu Fati's replaced Rafinha. Frenkie de Jong is also on, replacing Sergio Busquets in the centre of the midfield. And here's the first few touches for Ansu Fati on that right-hand side. He tries to, actually it was Dembele, sorry, trying to take on Bastoni. Well defended though by the Italian, and it will be cleared away from danger. And Inter Milan, they're just oozing confidence at the moment, and that goal has done a lot of things to help turn the tide in this game. As Skriniar's almost tackled by Fati. Liverpool 3-1 up now against Rangers. Darwin Núñez has got his name on the score sheet. Barella tackles Alonso, and play it goes for a throw-in for Barcelona. Are you surprised by any of the changes made by Xavi?
Not really. I think we did see Busquets give it away a couple of moments ago, and again in a similar sort of category to Gerard Piqué. Yes, they still have qualities that they can give to the side, but they are towards the latter stages of their careers, so bringing on fresh legs in De Jong I think is a wise thing to do. He maybe covers a little bit more ground, and Fati as well. I think there had to be a change in the attack to freshen things up. Just unfortunate Rafinha was the one to go over Dembele. I don't think either have really done a great deal wrong in this match, so no, not too surprised by that. I'd maybe like to see Ferran Torres come on as well, possibly replace Dembele, get two pairs of fresh legs on in that final third.
Well, Federico Di Marco has run his race. He's being replaced by Matteo Darmian in a bit of a like-for-like swap there. There might have been another player getting ready to come on. No, it doesn't look like we're going to see any further changes at this moment in time. I mean, from Barcelona's point of view in this game, if they do end up losing this, I think it's almost a certainty that they will be. They won't be able to qualify for the knockout stages of the Champions League. With the way the fixtures are falling, there's still a maybe plausible chance that they could even finish bottom. They still have Pilsen to play, and obviously they'll have to play Bayern Munich as well. But if Inter Milan and Bayern Munich are already qualified, do you think Inter Milan will play a weaker side against Pilsen?
There's a possibility, but even a weaker side might be enough to beat Pilsen.
Yes.
In fairness, they've not shown a great deal in this competition to suggest that they're up to scratch for what's required, even against a B team of Inter, if you like. But from Inter or Bayern Munich at some point as this competition goes on in the last two games.
Dembele gets away from one, then gets that shot away, plenty of power behind it, but it was straight down the throat of Andre Onana, who will happily gather that really good quick feet from the Frenchman, and he caught that so sweetly. But unfortunately for him, it wasn't at any of the corners.
Yeah, straight down the middle. It's one of those that needs a bit of direction to the corner to give Onana a trouble there. Lots of power behind it. But they've got to throw caution to the wind now, haven't they, Barcelona? They've got to start committing more bodies. They know they need a win tonight. Here they come again, making good ground, and the challenge in is a good one on the edge of the box.
Yes, it was Stefan de Vrij getting the foot in as Alonso looked up to try and put a cross in. Won't in the end, goes back towards Fati. Now with Gavi. Away from Çalhanoğlu. Here's Sergi Roberto, finding support in the form of Dembele. Back towards Roberto. Dembele, away from Dzeko, twisting, turning. Does well to find Gavi on the far side. He'll float a ball into the area. Fati tries to win the header. Did well to beat Dumfries, who's gone down holding his head. so there will have to be a stoppage. I think Fatty also collided with Dumfries, so we'll have to have a stoppage to ensure that both players are okay. But Dumfries definitely seems more worse for wear in that regards. Clear clash of heads. Fatty did well to rise highest, but was never looking likely to trouble Onana.
No, and he doesn't really offer that physical attribute, does he? He's great on the deck in his pace and trickery and finding space, but it's not really his bag. It's Lewandowski one who's going to cause problems aerially in this game. As we look back at the goals that have been scored to get Inter Milan out in front, didn't see this turnaround happening, to be honest, at half-time, but credit to them.
Yeah, so we see another replay of that goal from Lautaro Martinez. Wonderful finish by the Argentine. That's currently the goal that is separating the two sides. Just whilst we wait for this game to resume, we'll run you through the latest scores in the Champions League. Then it is Leverkusen 0, Porto 3, Pilsen 1, Bayern Munich 4, Rangers 1, Liverpool 3, 9 men Sporting 0, Marseille 2, Tottenham 3, 10-man Frankfurt 1. And then the early games it finished Atletico Madrid 0, Club Brugge 0, Club Brugge ending up the game with 10 men as well, and Napoli 4, Ajax 2. We're past the halfway stage of this second half. It is Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 2, and it will be Bobby Jackson taking you through to full time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Will. Barcelona, excuse me, here with a free kick as Çalhanoğlu catches Gavi in midfield, so on with it they go quickly, and it's Dembele who's now shifted out to the right-hand side after the departure of Rafinha. Ball might fall for Lewandowski, squeezes in, but the flag will be raised. Quickest to react, but he was coming back from the offside position. Wasn't intended for him. He just did what he needed to, and wait to see what the officials decided afterwards.
Yeah, looking at that replay, he's easily a yard offside. He's not expecting the ball. It rebounds off of Dembele, falls kindly to him. Good finish, but it won't count. But it shows that they've still got life in them, and Lewandowski can keep him out the game for so long. But he just needs one chance, and he's got that clinical nature to punish it.
His record at Barcelona has been, as you'd expect, 12 goals in 11 appearances, 3 in 3 coming into tonight's game in the Champions League. But it's not much of a look at the target as Inter come themselves now down the left. Low ball in just behind Martinez. Frankie de Jong was there to intercept and now drives it out from his own box, leaves it for Pedri and returns the ball to the Dutchman, now looking to open it up to the right and does well in towards Dembele. He's got the overlapping run but wants to go himself, gliding across the edge of the box before the challenge comes in. All gets a bit tight, back out to the right, and the shot in parried by Onana, and good distance away from goal. It was Lewandowski with that final effort. All just taking up a position wide of the full-back on that right-hand side. Onana now under pressure, has to clear, and he will find a route out there to the left-hand side where it's laid back in towards Barella, flicked over the top. He's going to go away for the goal kick. He's not looked very comfortable with his hands tonight, Onana. I don't think he's really caught much of a ball, but I just wonder if this one had maybe, it bobbled a little bit, and it was a good enough slap away, I suppose, out of danger.
Yeah, he did enough in order to make sure it didn't end up with Fatty at the back post, as we see another change made by Barcelona. It looks like Balde has come on to replace Marcos Alonso at left back, and it looks like Frank Kessie has also entered the field of play, and Sergio Roberto is the man that has been replaced there. So I wonder what that'll actually mean for the formation of Barcelona. But yeah, I agree. Onana, he's done what he needs to do in the form of shot stopping, but not exactly shot handling has been good.
See Barcelona breaking down the left now, but just running out of space there with substitute Alejandro Balde, and it's behind for the goal kick. As you say, in terms of formation for Barcelona, not quite sure how they're lining up here, but I suppose at this point in the match, Xavi has to poke caution to the wind somewhat. 4 of his 5 changes made, and Barcelona looking to get themselves back into it. A loss would be a disastrous result for them. A draw at least still gives them some hope that Inter might slip up along the way, and maybe they can nick something off Bayern Munich in their final 2 matches, and hope, of course, that they get the win over Pilsen as well. They'll be relying on others to help them out and give them favours rather than having their fate in their own hands, which is something Barcelona has come to know over the last couple of decades. On too used to being in a position of that, out at the group stage last season and hoping to avoid a similar fate this time around. Here comes Piqué, midway through the Inter Milan half. The skipper now with Busquets off the field, goes out to the right hand side and finds Kessie laid back in towards Garcia, and finding Dembele looking to wriggle his way to the byline. The cross goes in, and well, they've gone behind for a goal kick on its way anyway. The referee indicates that was the case as Dumfries had headed behind, so it will be a goal kick, I believe, here. Fatty the target, but not much he could do with it.
No, not at all. Actually, it's going to be a corner kick by the looks of things. So it did actually...
Taken a deflection as it got out.
I think that must be the case. So there's still the opportunity here for Barcelona.
So a corner to come in, the outswinger from Dembele. Going ahead, it's Inter who win it. Clear as far as De Jong, as Pilsen have pulled another back against Bayern Munich. It's now Pilsen 2, Bayern Munich 4. It's happened to Bayern in the second half. Here we see Barcelona now starting to come forwards, and it's infield towards Pedri. Looks to guide it into the box, and it scoops off the leg of Dumfries behind for a corner. Just in a signal there from Nicola Barella to the touchline to indicate a substitution of sorts, whether that was for himself or for someone else. Maybe he's trying to gesture he's picked up or not. We'll wait and see, but Dembele puts the corner in, and it's up and over the bar. Header coming in, I think in the end from Gavi, who certainly isn't the biggest, but had just popped up in a little bit of space there behind PK and Lewandowski. Not getting a huge amount of attention, but the header just ballooning over the bar.
Yeah,
it was Lewandowski.
It was Lewandowski. Did really well to actually get anything onto that. Maybe he could have left it for Gavi. It could have been the better of the options. As we see another replay of Lewandowski being quite comfortably offside for this goal that was rightfully called off. But they're throwing the kitchen sink at Inter Milan at the moment. Barcelona, they just can't quite find that opening.
Goal for Mohamed Salah has put Liverpool in a very comfortable position. At Rangers tonight, they were a goal down. They now lead by 4 goals to 1. So we're going to get changes here now for Inter Milan, and Edin Dzeko has gone off. I'll get it all wrapped up for you just in a second as to who has come on. It's Robin Gosens who has entered the fray in these final moments. 15 left to go, and it's the second change of the match for Inter Milan. Simone Inzaghi is, in fact, it's Raul Bellanova who has come on in his place. Our initial graphics giving us a different indication.
So I think Çalhanoğlu might have been replaced by Robin Gosens.
Okay.
That might be where the confusion's come from.
Yeah, so Gosens on as well, and Bellanova also on the field. So 3 changes made by Inter as Barcelona come forwards, and it's Gavi dispossessed. De Jong comes sliding in, blocks it away, takes a deflection as it goes off the field. So Barca have the throw with Ansu Fati back into Balde, and deeper still to the halfway line with PK. All the play is now pretty much compressed inside opposition territory. Barca asking all the questions, and Inter trying to show they've got the will to stand up to it. It's Lewandowski, heads wide. Ball came in pretty quick there beyond the head of centre-back De Vrij. Angle just against him.
Yeah, nice cross in from front. Kessie on the right-hand side had pace and whip on it. Maybe slightly behind Lewandowski, which makes it far more awkward for the Polish striker. Couldn't quite angle his body to get it on target, but they're finding him on multitudes of occasions, but they're just not giving him the perfect pass that he requires. He normally needs a sniff, but he needs a little bit more than what he's getting.
Barca back on the ball again with Frankie de Jong. Incidentally, tonight's the first time that Inter Milan have ever scored 2 goals at the new camp in this their 6th visit in European competition. Looks as though it might be enough at the moment to get them a crucial victory. And that big step closer to the knockout phase. This was one of the toughest groups to get out of it. Looked like when the draw was first made, Pilsen, you felt a little bit for being drawn with the big heavyweights of European football in Bayern Munich, Barcelona and Inter Milan. That 3-way battle is starting to now fall into place as Inter clear their lines here. So there was a foul late off the ball that's going to give them a free kick, and frustration just starting to come to the fore for Barca.
Yes, as Darmian, I think, was caught late on there by Ansu Fati. It was actually at Dembele that I think was just a sign of frustration more than anything. Coming in late on the defender. It's a nasty one, actually. It's a scraping one right down the side of the standing leg. And, I mean, to be honest, it's a little bit similar to the red card that Emerson Royale picks up in the North London derby against Arsenal. I think he's a little bit unfortunate to only get away with a yellow card there.
Damian is back to his feet now as Bellanova's come across to Simone Inzaghi. Whatever instructions he'd initially been given, he's maybe not fully taken them on, and he's been given a stern talking to there from his boss. Liverpool now 5-1 up at Ibrox. Mohamed Salah with his second of the night, adding to strikes from Darwin Núñez and a brace as well from Roberto Firmino. Inter now encroaching on Barcelona's box, and they'll get a corner here. It was a good strong forward play there that saw the corner one off Frank Kessie, and Bellanova, whatever he had said to him a moment ago, was really still ringing in his ears. Lovely touch from Lautaro Martinez to get the ball down initially. He was the one that rolled it forward for Bellanova. And the corner now to come from Inter. It's going to be from their left-hand side. Barcelona with a couple of players lurking in and around the edge of the 6-yard box. The others have got their arms full on the penalty spot type area. The ball whipped in with pace and headed away by Barca. It's back down on the left-hand side, and the pressure is Pedri. Back at his own byline, but really coolly done, a back heel out to Lewandowski. He's not got many further ahead, but one. There is Fati, and a lovely ball out to the left-hand side, now finding Dembele. Fati emerging on the inside channel. Dembele wants to go on his own into the side netting. Looks like the wrong option.
Yeah, massively the wrong option there from Ousmane Dembele. He's got to be laying off Ansu Fati there. It's greedy from the Frenchman because it's initially the right pass. I think he is onside. He doesn't get the required control or bounce the ball in order for him to really attack Onana. But why he's not set off Ansu Fati there is absolutely criminal, and he might have just cost his side the chance of getting back into this.
It's real poor decision making. Wanted to do it himself. In fact, he was offside anyway. Wouldn't have counted if we're going to restart from a free kick midway through the half, but still doesn't excuse the poor decision. You have to make those habits time and time again to ensure that you make the right decisions as your game goes on in these key moments. 10 minutes left to go. Liverpool have certainly got no problem scoring goals tonight. They've now got 6 at Ibrox, and it's a hat-trick for Mohamed Salah. He only came off at the bench on 68 minutes, and he's got himself a hat-trick by the 81st minute. So maybe his season is going to start getting up and running now with 3 goals to his name tonight. Liverpool coasting towards a big win there. It's a chance now for Barca, a slip in the box. It comes out though to the left-hand side with Fati, laid back in towards Balde. He's crossed there onto the head of Lewandowski. Comes back again, deflected home, and Barcelona have themselves on level terms. They've been plugging away for the equaliser. It's a 60th group stage goal in the Champions League for the Barcelona striker. It's Barcelona 2, Inter Milan 2.
Well, the amount of times we've seen unbelievable comebacks at the Camp Nou, it's almost impossible really to count them, and we might be witnessing another one here. Late goal from Lewandowski, still with 10 minutes. There's every chance Barcelona could completely overturn this deficit. Lewandowski's header down was aiming for Pedri, who was offside. It takes a big deflection. Actually, it's a poor clearance by Milan Skriniar, who bits it back into the path of Lewandowski. It comes off of, I believe, Bellanova in the middle of the area. Actually, no, it's Bastoni who can't get out of the way, deflects it past Onana, who's wrong-footed, and suddenly this game is back in the balance.
Yes, going to be a really interesting finish to this one now. 2-2 in this clash, a game that offered so much, and for a good 30 minutes, 35, it looked as though it might not deliver the goals we'd hope, but here we are at 2-2 now, with 8 left to go. And have Barcelona got enough left in the tank to go and grab a winner? They've certainly committed to going all out with the substitutions. Inter Milan's have been a little bit more defensive-minded, and as we said from the outset, they would take a draw tonight, even if it's in this sort of dramatic circumstance of 2-2. They'll take that point to keep themselves just ahead of Barcelona in the standings and in a good spot to head towards the knockout phase of the Champions League. Still feel there is a big twist to come though as Balde works it forward to Fati. Momentum on Barcelona's side. Fati now flicks infield looking for the return of Balde down the line for Lewandowski. He's threatened to score all night, now does have a goal to his name and looks to flick one towards the far post. There's no one there, deep and behind for the goal kick.
Yeah, it's a poor delivery that by Lewandowski. Just falls to the wrong man on the wing. You'd prefer Lewandowski in the middle to be a target, as it looks like We're just seeing some images on the bench. Gavi has been replaced. Ferran Torres has come on for the final few moments. So they really are throwing everything at Inter Milan. But it was a really poor delivery by Lewandowski. Waste of a good counter-attack, but it's almost as if the Barcelona fans are sucking the ball into the area into Inter Milan's area, I should say. And it's going to be a long last at 7 minutes, but they might be able to completely overturn that here.
It's out the right-hand side with Barcelona, but a challenge comes with Inter Milan, but Barcelona get the challenge in. De Jong then is fouled, surely. Referee has, I think, blown his whistle eventually. Maybe didn't hear the whistle there and comes across with the yellow card already out in his hand for Mkhitaryan. He's the latest to have his name taken. Came from a bit of a distance away there, Mkhitaryan. Never looked like getting the ball. And referee was doing his best to put his body in the line of fire and stop any further blowouts happening. Looks as though Inter are preparing a couple of changes and they want to make them before this set piece is taken. And Simone Inzaghi clearly trying to cling on to what they have now in these final moments. We're just seeing Barella head off towards the touchline. He's going to be one of the two to depart. And we will get it all wrapped up for you in just a moment as to who is coming on. The two on the touchline look to be Serbi and Aslani, I think. First to come on is Aslani for Barella. The other player departing is going to be Bastoni, and Serbi will be coming on in his place. So that is it in terms of the changes as Dembele comes and delivers this free kick, now headed away by Inter in the first instance. De Jong will switch it back into Dembele, and the shot there is behind. The wisest decision in the end. I don't think he was looking for the cross. Wasteful opportunity.
Yeah, another good chance that's fallen to Dembele, it's been quite frustrating, really. He's looked really lively at Dembele, but decision-making at times has really cost his side, and yet again, he's come off on the wrong end there. He's obviously got a goal to his name, and he's picked up good positions, but he just needs to remember that he's part of a team. He doesn't need to do it all himself. Find a teammate who's in a better position, and then suddenly your team could be in a far better prospect.
That it was 60 goals in the group stage for Robert Lewandowski. Now it's 90 goals that he's got in the Champions League group stage and knockout phase. He's third in the all-time list, some way behind leader Cristiano Ronaldo on 141, but real great and icon of the competition as Fati gets into the box, but as he looked to cut back, he's challenged and then gives away the free kick in trying to reclaim it. The other end of the scale, Ansu Fati, the youngest ever scorer in the group stage of the Champions League, but really had a side at goal tonight. The youngster it was in Pedri that was trying to play him in there. It's all very intricate now for Barcelona, with Inter plugging every gap possible in that defensive third. Xavi nervously walking in and around the technical area. I can tell you elsewhere, Frankfurt have pulled one back late on against Tottenham. A goal scored by Faride Alidou. It's Tottenham 3, Eintracht Frankfurt 2. Frankfurt, incidentally, as well, are down to 10 men. So, be a real upset for Spurs if they were to throw that one away tonight. In terms of how this one looks in the group now, by the way, with an equalising goal for Barcelona. They had moved ahead of Inter Milan when they led earlier tonight, but it's back to square one, really, both picking up a point. So, Inter Milan second on 7. Barcelona third on 4. Still leaves them with a lot of work to do in their two final group matches against Bayern Munich and Pilsen. Liverpool have grabbed a 7th now at Ibrox. Rangers 1, Liverpool 7. As Inter Milan clear their lines through Skriniar. Anywhere will do for them. It's down the field and as far as ter Stegen, who's come out of his box here to chest it down. The Inter players are off the bench. They're crowding the technical area alongside Inzaghi, who never won a European competition. He did win the Super Cup at Lazio, joining them the summer after they'd won the Cup Winners' Cup, but he got his hands on one of the European trophies as Barcelona swing it in. It's straight into the hands of Onana. That'll bring a bit of calm.
Yes, and it's a desperate calm, although Onana's immediately pumped it long, and Martinez is onside in. He'll keep the ball in play. Maybe a bit of smash and grab from Inter Milan.
Yeah, Switches it across the far side, and here are Inter, and they've got a winner. Surely with 2 minutes left of normal time. Substitute Robin Gosens is there, unmarked. Barcelona committing to the attack, left wide open. The Inter bench floods onto the pitch. It's Barcelona 2, Inter Milan 3.
Unbelievable. I thought it was poor decision making at first from Andre Onana to immediately punt the ball long, but it was a wonderful pass set off Martinez, and it's brilliant forward play by the Argentine. Keeps it in play, held it up to wait for support, and his through ball to Robin Gosens is absolutely sublime. It gives him the perfect opportunity to go for goal, and he hammers it into the left-hand corner. Wonderful finish from Inter Milan, and they look like they're going to be the first Italian side to ever win 2 games against Barcelona in the same campaign in the Champions League.
It's remarkable the way that this game has panned out in the end. Drama right from the outset. Look again, it was a great ball out from Onana. Didn't really need to do that, but he'd spotted the space was there for Martinez. Many in that situation would just hold on to it, roll it out, try and keep possession late on, look for the draw, but Inter spotted the chance to go for the win, and they've taken it. A real smash and grab right at the end. Lovely ball from Martinez as well. And it's the first time finish from Gosens. Smashes across goal to Stegen, can't get there. But here are Barca at the other end now. Into the box they go with Fati, just takes too long on it. Inter squeeze it away as far as De Jong. Delivered back in once more, and this time it's headed out by Skriniar. Inter now do have something to protect. As we said earlier, even a draw's a good result. Now they have that cushion of a lead as well. Inzaghi is urging his players to squeeze forward as Ter Stegen is up at the halfway line with the ball at his feet. The ball has gone up. Looks to me like that said 6 minutes still to go. We'll get that confirmed for you in just a moment as De Jong flicks it infield now towards Pedri. Yeah, it is 6 minutes still to go. Maybe there's still more drama to come here. Pedri midway through the field and just 10 yards shy of the box. Out to Balde. His cross isn't great. Might well be kept alive. It was headed up, but not quite away from goal scorer Gosens. Been flicked back by Kessie in towards Pedri. Out on the right-hand side, he's got the belly on the inside channel. Pedri works a nice little 1-2. Kessie is now fighting for space as well. The former Atalanta man helps it on its way. Ex-Inter too, of course, and now it's back into his feet. The Ivorian in the box, looking to work it through to Balde, who's come across from the left-hand side to offer support. He just can't find the crucial ball at the moment. Pedri drills it in. Inter are there to head away, and it's De Jong again who has to sweep up and try and get Barcelona moving back in the right direction. Drilled into the box. Lewandowski with the header, and Barcelona have got another equaliser. Second of the night for Robert Lewandowski. It's now 5 goals in 4 Champions League appearances for Barcelona for him. And Barcelona level once more.
What an end to this game. Absolutely unbelievable. It's a tantalising delivery by Eric Garcia. Lewandowski rising highest, not really pressurised by his marker. It's a wonderful header into the top left-hand corner. Onana can't get over in time. Question mark should be asked of the defending, I think, by Bellanova, who just does not stick with Lewandowski. It's a pretty simple finish by his standards. There's still time maybe for a winner.
Fight in the Spanish Giants yet at top of La Liga and don't want to be limping out of the Champions League. They're willing to give their all in these final throws. Barcelona 3, Inter Milan 3. Complaints now from Barcelona that Inter are taking too long to get restarted from a free kick. They do eventually take it. Barcelona clear on the edge of their own box, and Pedri, loses the ball. There's an offside flag against Dumfries. And Barca have the free kick. Full-time whistles going elsewhere. Pilsen 2, Bayern Munich 4, Rangers 1, Liverpool 7, Sporting 0, Marseille 2. All full-time results. We've still got just under 4 minutes left of the 6th additional here. Might even get a little bit more on top due to that goal being scored inside the 6-minute period. But Barca will play until that whistle and give everything they've got in search of a winner. Inter just looking to cling on again. It's Pedri out to the left-hand side with Balde. Out comes Fati to offer his support, but Balde wants to do it on his own. He's challenged by Bellanova, and he's not just won the ball, he's left Balde down on the floor and now starts to weave his way forward. But a loose ball sees it come into the possession of Pedri. Keeps it alive at the byline. Balde back to his feet, into the box for Fati. Shot blocked and charged down by Skriniar. and it'll come out to the right-hand side with Kessie. There's 4 in the box for Barca. Piqué is playing as an auxiliary forward now. They're throwing everything at Inter as De Jong switches it in. It won't find Lewandowski, and it's through to Onana.
Well, finally you can have a little bit of a breath there, Bobby. It was an intense bit of attacking play by Barcelona. They're doing whatever they can to keep the press on this Inter Milan defence. In the end, the cross from De Jong just too poor, easily gathered by Onana. Just over 2 minutes remaining in this game, and I can still see a chance being created for Barcelona to maybe win it, but looks like Inter Milan aren't pressing to try and get another smash and grab. They just want to try and see off a point, but they might be able to get it here.
Yeah, Martinez has robbed them of the ball, and he's got players coming in support. He's going to roll it in behind, and they're through. Inter, can they bang the one? A big save from Ter Stegen. Right leg rather hung out there that scoops it away. And they spurn a huge chance. Aslani, I think it was, the substitute, who had been rolled in behind by Martinez, and he just couldn't apply the touch needed.
Oh, that is unbelievable. He should either be playing that across to Mkhitaryan, or he's got to be scoring. How on earth he's missed from there? Sure, I say missed. It's a good save by Ter Stegen, but he should never have been given the chance to make that stop.
Corner to come, and it's going to be Aslani to take it. No rush to deliver this one, Inter. We are 4.5 minutes into 6 of additional. It's an in-swinger that's cannoned off the back of De Jong. It was about 10 yards away, and it'll come back to De Jong now. The Dutchman trying to drive it out, caught in possession, but Kessie is there. He rolls it out wide, and Balde just not strong enough in the first instance. Beaten in the second instance too. Inter look to roll it infield, but Kessie is there, and it's Pedri who can carry it forwards. He's got plenty of options with him. He's well into opposition territory, and there might be a chance out wide now. Lewandowski rolling it into the box, players clashing, it'll be a free kick. It was Fati who just caught the heels of an Inter defender.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's not intentional at all by Fati. He stumbles. I'm not sure if it's just a collision of legs between 2 sets of players there. I'm not sure if it's the right pass from Lewandowski, because Fati's never likely to get on the end of it. He stumbles. I think he might just stand on the heel of Dumfries, and that's what sends him over. But surely, with 30 seconds remaining, that is going to be that.
Yeah, you would think so. I feel we may still get an extra minute on top of the 6 due to the goal being scored by Lewandowski inside this 6 minutes. But we'll see what referee Simon Marciniak will do. All eyes are going to be on him over the next 15 seconds that remain of the 6 additional. De Jong having to do a bit of defensive work now, goes back to Ter Stegen, who flicks away first time under pressure. Martinez and Balde tangle out wide. It's come off the Barca man, out for an Inter throw. And we are now over 6 minutes. If only Inzaghi's been ushered back to his technical area. Referee's got a yellow card out, and I think Inzaghi's pleading with him to blow the whistle. It's a red card for Simone Inzaghi. He's had his marching orders. He'll be unavailable to stand on the touchline for Inter Milan's next outing in the Champions League, which comes against Pilsen on the 26th of October. And Inter Milan have taken the throw, they've won themselves a corner, and this eats further off the clock. We are 30 seconds beyond the 6 minutes. You'd imagine we're not going to have much more after this corner's taken. Barcelona seemingly having to settle for a draw, which is something Inter would have welcomed at the start of tonight's game. Corner's taken short to Martinez, rolled back to Aslani and Serbi, and they're happy just to keep it down by the corner. If anything goes in, and header saved by Ter Stegen at his near post. Referee, I think, had his whistle to his lips there. Has he seen enough here? He has. The whistle has gone. It's finished. A dramatic night at the Nou Camp. Barcelona 3, Inter Milan 3.